All right, so it is 6:32 according to my computer. I'm calling this meeting to order now. Okay, so with that, I will take roll call. Brian Allen,
I'm here.
Alfredo Castillo. Not present. Okay, Chris Coyle,
Present.
Graham Zach,
Here.
Sid Gold. I don't see him yet. Okay, Thomas Hartfield.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Raheem Kazi. I don't see him. Ralph Croy.
Here.
Thank you. Nathan Lee.
I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Jason Lester. I do not see him. Robert Moore.
Present.
Oh, Jason on attendees. Thank you, Robert. Jason, let me promote you to panelist. Okay. Jason Lester. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, Denisa Pantoja.
Present.
Thank you. Alvin Waters.
Present.
Karen Waters.
Here.
Okay. Jason Lester, I see you online.
Here.
Thank you, sir. And myself, Oscar Jimenez, present. So we have 6, 10, 12. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we've got quorum. Excellent. Let me just check attendees. I don't see any board members on the attendees. Right. Excellent. Okay, so oh wow, let's move on to Pledge of Allegiance. I do not have a flag with me though, because I'm kind of in an empty room right now. I'm moving things around in my household. So we can just move forward without a flag, if that's okay. Let's see, who do we have?
Would you like me to get a flag or
Do you have one readily available? That'd be great.
I'll be right back?
Okay, thank you. Let's see, attendees. Sorry, everyone. I've cleared out this room that used to be my office, and I cleared it out months ago to make it my daughter's room. But things have changed again. One of my kids moved out, so she's moved into the other room. So now I'm taking over my office, but I have yet to put it back together. So yeah.
Should we be concerned about Thomas? He's not moving.
All right. Oh, excellent. Okay, so she has a flag. Let me just make sure again, I don't have anyone. Okay, so who would like to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance? Alvin, would you like to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure, if you're okay with the fact there's noise in my background.
That's okay. Let's.
All right, everybody put your right hand over your heart.
Or salute.
Ready, begin. I pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh my, we've got great attendance from the public. This is excellent. Okay, so with that, I don't see Gibson on the call. So a new item on the agenda, which has to be denoted separately from others, is item B, comments from Dunn representative. I don't see Gibson on the call though. Let's see, and let me make note, Sid just joined the meeting at 6:36. Sid Gold, can you say here, please?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, noted. You arrived at 6:36. Thank you, sir. Alvin, thank you for leading us on that. So again, going back to item B, comments from Dunn representative. Gibson is not here. So let's move on to item C, comments from CD12, senior.
Oscar, before you do that, could you share with us why that has to be denoted separately?
This was a requirement that came from, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, but it came from
In the
Don.
newsletter, it's a new request because of they're trying to get us ready for opening and site locations. And so rather than to have the Dunn representative commingled with the other elected representatives position, it was if you read the newsletter, that's where.
You're stating that that's a request, not a requirement.
Well, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, let's clarify. I mean, but that's okay. No, Brian, that's a good point. So we can clarify after this. Is it because if it is a requirement, then we'll leave it as is. But if it's a suggestion, then we can certainly take action for the next item, the next
The
meeting.
only reason I bring that up is because as
And
a
here he is.
independent NC, we are not beholden to Dunn. We are governed by Bonk to a certain point, but the requests coming from Dunn are requests. I think it is appropriate to have these people separate, not only Dunn but other representatives. But I wouldn't want to allow one to be selected over others. So if we give it to one, we should give it to others.
Good point.
That's all.
No, very valid point. Gibson, your timing is
Impeccable.
perfect. Yes, we are on item B, which is comments from Dunn representative. And the question that came up from Mr. Allen is this a requirement or a suggestion?
In regards to?
In regards to placing a separate item on the agenda, specifically just for Dunn representatives.
I think it's up to the discretion of the board. We usually just ask to be on the agenda so we can provide updates. One thing is a mode of communication is usually the most effective during a board meeting when board members don't read the email. So it's not required. It's just that it's out of courtesy. It's been a working relationship, but it's not a requirement.
Okay, thank you for clarification. So we'll take appropriate action on that. But so since you're on the call, then we'll move on to item C, comments from elected officials and government agencies. So Gibson, I'll let you continue if you have anything that you'd like to update us on.
Yeah, so just want to touch base on two items. So one to first highlight that the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners today is retaking the social media draft policy. Is a motion for reconsideration in tonight's commission meeting. So I know it's going to be happening concurrently as this board meeting, but just wanted to give everybody a heads up in regards to that. In addition to that, the department is also updating the awareness and engagement survey, the one that was presented at the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. We've already put in the first, the response that we got, the engagement survey, just based off of the 8,000 Angelinos who responded. I think one thing we showcase is the methodology of this survey, how we asked stakeholders to submit the survey, which was through email. And so you definitely detail some of the issues. Some things was definitely highlighted in the survey of importance. We try to break it down by council, district, region. We are definitely going to be breaking it down further into also neighborhood council. So it's something that we're still working on. It'll be a visualization on the website. So it's on our tab, theempowerla.org/data. Also, I'll be reaching out to the chair and the vice chair in regards to doing, as the department is starting to do election outreach 101s as your NEA, we are trying to figure out the best strategy in terms of doing election outreach. As you know, in this year's fiscal budget, we asked for $1 million in addition to our regular funding for outreach efforts. And so this is something that the department wants to prioritize. Based off of the survey itself, about 30% of people said they've never participated in the neighborhood council. Out of 8,000 people, that's a lot of people who've never participated in the neighborhood council system. So we want to figure out the best strategy of getting access to them. And that's just one of the things that the department has been working on. If anybody needs help getting access to your to Cornerstone, I do know that the department is going to be consistently following up with folks in regards to completing your training. So just make sure that everybody has it. And if you need help getting into Cornerstone, please let me know. I definitely just want to make sure that everybody's sorted out. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gibson. Anyone with questions for Gibson? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't see any hands raised.
There aren't any.
Okay, I will move on then. And we on the call have Aaron Seinfeld from the mayor's office.
Hi, everyone. Let me put my video on so you can see me. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, how are you? Welcome. Good to have you.
It's nice to be here. It's nice to see you all. I have some brief updates to provide. For those that don't know me, I am Mayor Garcetti's West Valley area rep. I'm Erin Seinfeld. I am always available if you need anything. Let me pull up some updates for you guys. So first, I wanted to highlight that the mayor's grid office is now hiring for the SNL, the Summer Night Lights 2022. They're hiring site coordinators and lead youth squad and youth squad members, and those are positions are 17 to 24-year-olds. And you can go to lagrid.org if interested. It's a great opportunity. Just to know, applicants must be fully vaccinated. And we're excited that Summer Lights program will be returning this summer. And I know that summer jobs for youth are always a nice thing to mention. So wanted to make sure to share that for you all. Last Friday, the Economic Workforce Development Department is launching the city's $8.5 million micro enterprise recovery grant program. So up to $15,000 in grants will be available to micro enterprises to aid their economic recovery from COVID-19. The application period closes on April 15th, so you have a week and a half to apply. To be eligible, businesses must be for profit, have 5 or less employees, including the business owner, and be located and operate within the city of LA. Funds can be used for operating expenses, including but not limited to payroll, lease payments, insurance, and inventory. You can get some additional details on that at ewddlacity.com. It's also that time of year. So I wanted to make sure to mention Free Tax Prep LA. It's working with families to provide free tax preparation services and helps claim state and federal tax credits. In addition to tax prep services for low to moderate income households, Free Tax Prep LA also provides pro bono legal services for audits and payment plans, childcare, and utilities assistance. You can go to freetaxprepla.org for that information. And lastly, LA City's Climate Emergency Mobilization Office, Liberty Hill Foundation, Scope, SAGE, Pacoima Beautiful, and Communities for a Better Environment all invite you to their inaugural Climate Equity LA virtual workshop series. And so this is part 2 of the series for Climate Equity LA, and it starts Thursday night. If you're interested, please let me know. I also sent an email out to all the board members, so you can reach out to them for information on it too. I don't want to take too much more time, but I will end there. I'm always available if you want to reach out. I cover 18 councils, so I can't always be here, but my inbox and my cell is always open.
Thank you. We do appreciate your time. And I do have a raised hand. Let me see if it's a question for you, Ms. Seinfeld. Sid?
Yes, thank you. Do you hear me? Good.
Yes, we can.
Just a couple questions. One, as we've been informed, the mayor plans to leave his office in the near future. Has a time been set when he will be doing that? And the second question I have has to do with his recommendations about LA 100 and whether he's rethought his timelines and the goals for that.
Your second question, I'm not sure, but I'm happy to look into it. In terms of when Mayor Garcetti will be leaving, no matter what he is terming out at the end of this year, he has also been nominated as an ambassador to India by President Biden, and that's currently, his confirmation is currently before the Senate. So we all operate as per usual until we get some update on that.
Thank
And
you.
then Sid, do you want to send me an email about your specific question about LA 100 and we can connect offline on it?
Sure.
Perfect.
Can you post your email in the chat or give it to me?
There's not a chat, but it's just aaron.seinfeld@lacity.org.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Okay, we have two other hands. Wade, you've got the floor.
Thank you. Hi, Aaron. You mentioned while you were giving your little speech that they had to be fully vaccinated. And I want to know what you consider fully vaccinated, since the CDC has ordered a 4th shot and they're contemplating a 5th. So how does anybody know, since it's a moving target? What do you and the mayor's office consider fully vaccinated?
So fully vaccinated at this point just means either if you had Johnson & Johnson, you had 1 shot, or Moderna or Pfizer, you had 2 shots. The boosters aren't part of that. We are defining fully vaccinated at this point. The reason is this is the Summer Night Lights program through the LA City Grid program. There is a vaccine mandate for anyone employed by the LA City. So that's part of why vaccinations are required for that position.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure because it was a moving target, and
It can be very confusing. I know it can be very confusing. And thankfully, also, I know Tessa's here from the county. So with vaccine questions, the county is always here to help support too.
Great question, though. Great question, Wade, for clarification. Thank you. Alvin, you've got the floor.
Yeah, hi, Aaron. I was just curious about the call tomorrow regarding the climate equity LA. Is this something that's only exclusive to board members? Because the only reason I ask is I work for a nonprofit that's actually a big part of promoting climate equity in underserved communities.
It is for everyone, whoever wants to go. Alvin, did you get my email with the information regarding it this morning?
I didn't, but I'll have to look through it.
Okay, I know Karen did. If anyone didn't get my email, let me know. I use the listserv from Dunn. So if you're not getting it, then that's something we need to look into, because I want to make sure that when I send something out, you're receiving it.
Okay, so it's okay for me to share with
You can
my
post it on
colleagues.
social media. You can yell it from the rooftops.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. I don't see any more hands up. So thank you. Ms. Seinfeld, appreciate your presence. Thank you so much for your time.
Happy to be here. Have a good evening. If you need anything, just reach out.
Okay, before I move on to the next speaker, I do want to make note that Alfredo Castillo, if you can state your name, say here, joined us at 6:46. I'm going to make note of that.
Here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, excellent. So let's move on. I do have Mr. Amaya. I'm going to allow you to talk, or please unmute yourself. I see you have your hand up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm a district representative for the office of Senator Hertzberg. I think I spoke with Ralph earlier today at the Granada Hills Chamber. Let me see, give me a second. Yes, yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
So
Yeah.
since you have the floor, why don't you then give us an update? Welcome, and give us an update from Mr. Hertzberg.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. Again, my name is Edwin. I'm a district representative for the office of Senator Hertzberg. I help represent the Granada Hills area. Lately, our office has been understaffed, so I haven't been able to make it to all the meetings. But I am here today to get together with you guys and announce what's going on for the Senate District 18 side of things. So there was an announcement made earlier this past month in March, where Caltrans had announced that there was $21.3 million in funding for highway beautification projects across the San Fernando Valley. And this came up as a part of the governor's Clean California initiative. And so this Caltrans project will be cleaning up spaces around local freeways by removing trash, graffiti, fixing and replacing fences, and adding new landscaping. This specifically applies to these areas. I think there's like about 5 listed, or a little bit over 5, but it's the I-5 118 interchange beautification. That's applying to that state freeway, where 7.4 million is going to be going to that one. Then there's the I-5 Sun Valley beautification, where there's another 6.1 million going to that area, that freeway. And then 170 Freeway North Hollywood beautification, 3.9 million is getting allocated to that one. And then there's 3 others here: Northwest Los Angeles Corridor Safety Enhancement, 3.9 million for this one. And then, 1.7 million. And then North Los Angeles Enhancement, 1.4 million. And then the I-210 Safety Enhancement, 824,000 going to that. So if you guys needed to follow up on any of those details, we can certainly, reach out to Caltrans on your guys' behalf for any interested members here today. And we can look to certainly, get an answer on any specific details you guys were looking to inquire about. That was the announcement that Caltrans had made, but for more of like legislative announcements, there was a couple that I would like to share. They are kind of a lengthy one, so I'll try to keep it short for the both of these. But Senate Bill 1190 was announced by the senator as being introduced regarding blockchain. What is it called? Let me see here. Yeah, it's blockchain-based credentialing. That's what it's. I don't think that's the official name, but I think that's like the kind of like the brief description of it in terms of the label of it. It's introduced to establish the California Trust Framework to provide industry best standards for implementing blockchain use in credentialing. It's a 5-year pilot. It's to launch a 5-year pilot to use blockchain technology in California schools, specifically for sharing student transcripts with community colleges. The senator said this on the bill. He said, from high school transcripts to university degrees to medical licenses, credentials are all around us. Pioneering the use of blockchain technology and credentialing puts California on the front lines of technological innovation, and puts security and trust front and center as we explore more ways to adopt blockchain in government. So the whole idea here is basically security. If you guys also needed more details on this bill, again, it's SB 1190 that's introduced. You can certainly follow up with our office, and we can like to get more answers on that for whatever you'd like to inquire about specifically. The other legislative measure that I would like to also announce was SB 989 that's getting introduced. This is arming California's communities against climate change. And it's coming in response to California's worst drought in 1,200 years or 1,200 years. That's what, it says here in the press release. So, it says basically there's extreme swings in weather, record heat, and near constant wildfires going on. And this legislation was introduced on March 10th to protect the state's most vulnerable communities from climate change while also creating new jobs in the process. SB 989 creates climate change preparedness, resiliency, and jobs for communities grants program. I think there was a member here, part of the neighborhood council, I think that mentioned something similar to, what I think they're a nonprofit that works with these types of things. So, if you can certainly follow up with us, but to detail it a little bit further for you, it's basically to fund local projects that support sustainable communities, resilient landscapes, and climate focused career pathways. There was like a little bit more detail here where it says under the new grant program, the Strategic Growth Council will award grants to local communities to quickly deploy climate projects that support sustainable community development, resilient natural landscapes, and climate workforce development. It will revitalize and improve local communities by funding projects that prioritize affordable housing, urban greening, parks improvements, water capture and reuse, public transit, and electrical vehicle technologies. So it seems like there's a broad spectrum of things that could help for some type of nonprofit or organization that is applying for these grants to ultimately be found eligible. But I'm sure that will be included on the website for where that grant will be made available once it gets introduced. As I said, this is something that's still, on the works, under the way. So.
Okay, thank you, Edmund. Time's up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Amaya. Before I do have some hands up. So before I do that, I had a question. Is there any update in terms of the gas situation and giving some kind of relief to California residents? I know there's been discussion about that.
Yeah, I turned off my camera just so I can take note in the meantime as well, like simultaneously. But I would have to check in on that inquiry. I think, are you alluding to like the gas tax?
Well, no, I'm alluding to, they were talking about mailing rebates to residents and how they were going to decide that. It was either a formula of car ownership, which doesn't seem equitable. So, but since you brought the gas tax up, I mean, I would think that perhaps they would consider putting a moratorium on the gas that our wonderful legislator passed, or legislation passed back a couple of years ago, without a vote of the constituents. So I would think that would be a good start.
Yeah, would I be able to get your email so I could, follow up further on, your exact thoughts on these, so that I can, bring it along to the senator for him to be made aware of?
Yeah, if you could, Edwin, just go ahead and email the board. So the board is on also copied on this, and it's
Yeah.
board@ghnnc.org.
Yeah, okay, got it.
And while many people want to attribute the gas price increases to the situation that's taking place in Europe, I think it all started again with this whole gas tax that our legislators passed several years back. And I think that's the start where they need to start looking.
Okay, understood.
And I'm going to give the floor to Robert. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I have actually a couple questions. One, I'll start with the first one because it dovetails off of Oscar's question, which is there was a motion to the Senate to at least temporarily repeal the gas tax SB1, as it were. And I understand that everybody, I think it was all but 12 people voted against it. And I'd like to know why that is and what Hertzberg's vote was on that. That's the first question.
Okay, noted.
And then secondarily, on this freeway beautification program, where is that money coming from to complete all this? Is that also coming from SB1?
Let me check here. I think I have more details. It was a pretty lengthy announcement. I didn't get to go through all of it, but let me see here if it has like a specific source for where it's coming through.
Because my understanding is that's supposed to be for lane repair, maybe repair for sound walls. Beautification would not fall under that program. So I was wondering if that's where it was coming from.
It says the Clean California funding was announced previously by the Newsom administration to support local governments. So, it looks like it is, basically coming from the governor as a part of like the state government funding. Let me see here. Yeah, and I think Caltrans is the one, the state department enforcing this and putting it all together for these beautification projects to go underway.
Yeah, but that still doesn't specifically answer where funding is coming from.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just letting you know what I have here.
Understood.
But yeah, I can look to follow up on that question. I don't know if I have access to a chat right here.
No, we
yeah,
don't.
I mean, I could give my email if you would like to write it down, and we can certainly look to follow up.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Amaya, if you can, again, maybe email your contact information to board@ghnnc.org, and that way that would be great.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. And I have 3 more hands, and we're going to let those go. Let's see. The next one is Karen. Go ahead. You cut the floor, Karen. And then Alvin, and then I see an attendee, so don't think I'm ignoring you. I will come to you in just a moment.
Yes, thank you, Oscar. Edwin, I believe we understand that SB 9 and SB 10, there is currently an item for, is it for the November election to repeal SB 9? I might not have that exactly correct. I heard it on the news.
I'd have to check in on that one. I haven't read on that bill particularly myself. You said it was SB 9 and 10, right?
Right, and there was an initiative apparently presented by the South Bay area, and it is now there's some opposition. There's been opposition to it, but this makes it official for the ballot.
Okay, so you'd like to just learn more about where the status is on that?
Well, our board unanimously voted against this, so we would just like to know any updates on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Alvin, you've got the floor.
Thanks, Oscar. Yeah, Edwin, I was just curious if, I guess if you have a, just kind of a general sense of, why on most of our state highways, the lighting's becoming more and more of an issue. Because I guess just kind of the stance is it's becoming a little more dangerous to drive on the highways at night now.
Yes, understood. I don't work with the transportation matters myself. I specifically, one of the primary things I help with is EDD matters. But yeah, I could look to follow up with the staff member who does. Her name is Mercedes. She works with Caltrans on a regular basis and sees all the updates that they have from month to month. So she would be able to inquire, to see what's the issue with these lightings on the freeways. It sounds like they might be at designated areas, or you're just seeing it as something throughout.
I'm seeing it all over the valley, but
Yeah.
I mean, does she allow public contact?
Yeah, of course. I can give you her email, and you can look to follow up with her with those transportation related matters such as this one.
Okay, what's your email if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, of course. It's Mercedes. So it's MERCEDEZ, I believe. Let me just confirm. It might be an S. Okay, actually, it's an S, not a Z. But yeah, it's Mercedes and then dot Ortiz. It's ORTIZ. And then the email @ and then sen, which is short for Senate, and then .ca, short for California, and then .gov. So mercedes.ortiz@sen.ca.gov.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then one more for you, Edwin. And is that Mr. or Mrs. Hales? But anyway, you have the floor. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Mr. Hales.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, I have a real quick question here. Today, while driving the wonderful freeways of Los Angeles, we noticed something, and you mentioned the cleanup of the freeways. On the 405, just before the Devonshire exit, there were 4 cleanup trucks, 2 police officers, and all of the folks working were climbing over the fence. There's a little 4-foot fence there, but they're climbing over and doing some cleanup work. So the question I have is, with all this wonderful cleanup they're going to do of the freeways, are the underpasses included in that cleanup, or is that just below the freeway and they don't touch it?
Again, I would have to defer that question to Mercedes. I'm not sure if this cleanup came in, as a part of that general announcement that I just gave, or if it might have been just one that was already assigned and underway prior to this announcement. As there are a lot of areas to clean up as we know throughout the valley when it comes to the freeways. But I would have to check again, like I said, to see if it does include the underpasses. That is what you are inquiring about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they're going to be cleaning up above, below should be included in that. And I assume that because there's 2 police officers there. And in most of the cleanups, they won't touch it unless the police officers are there, whether it be the sheriff or LAPD.
And then this is Michelle Hales, his wife. I have one question.
Yeah.
There was something on the news about a month ago. There was a bunch of nails. I think it was on the 118 at the interchange of 405. There was something fell off a truck, and there was 17 cars involved in it. And then there's other things like you see, tire people run on. People have accidents. They don't seem like they're getting after those kind of things. I know that's not different type of cleanup. This is like things that are hazardous, dangerous for drivers. And then the lanes were also blocked today. We're on 4 freeways. They didn't give a warning that the lanes were blocked because there was a minor accident in the 4 lane. They usually put a flashing light. So that's what I'm inquiring about, things that are hazardous on the freeway and warnings about danger ahead, merge into the next lane.
So if I'm understanding, you'd like to know what their procedure is in response to these hazardous
Yes.
events? Okay, understood.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Amaya. That's it for questions for you. But yeah, if you can get back to us, and again, you can send any information to board@ghnnc.org.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
No, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So let's move on to Miss Diana Oganessian. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Please forgive me.
Hello. Yeah, so hello everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Diana and I'm from the Office of Assemblywoman Suzette Valadares. I just have a really brief legislative update on what's going on. The Assemblywoman's legislative package is fully introduced. She has various bills addressing different areas. One of them is AB 2591. It's a bill that would limit the liability of nonprofits and churches that offer housing and other services to homeless. She has co-authored AB 1788, which would offer local city attorneys and district attorneys to impose civil penalties on hotel and motel owners whose employees knew that sex trafficking was occurring on the premises and did not report it or may have even benefited from it. I know gas tax is a really hot topic right now, and Oscar, you did have some questions earlier. The Assemblywoman has been voting in support of temporarily halting the gas tax for 6 months to help ease some of the costs. However, it is not passing out of the Assembly. And then just a reminder that the district office is always here to help you guys in any way. We have liaisons in all of the state agencies that we can reach out to for any issues. The Assemblywoman wants us out in the field to see what's happening in the district and what we can do to help. So we would love feedback from community leaders like yourselves. And yeah, if you have any questions, please just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Sid, you have your hand up.
Yes,
You have the
thank you.
floor.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that she voted against or voted for the increase for defunding the gas tax, but I'm trying to understand why the Democrats vote against it. Some people say, whether it's true or not, that the Democratic majority really wants to see gas taxes to increase, that they want to make it more difficult for people to use cars and get them off the road. So I'm just wondering, if it were true, that would be a unhealthy way of looking at it, but I don't understand why they would vote against repealing the gas tax.
Yeah, so they've been going back and forth on this bill. I believe it's AB 1638 that keeps coming up and going into committees and just trying to get rewritten to get out. There have been other proposals for the gas tax, like offering a $400 rebate or some other proposals that the governor has announced, but nothing is passing through as of right now.
So just as my follow-up belief, that nothing's done because basically you want to keep it this way. That's my feeling.
Thank you, Sid. I do actually want to do a follow-up to Robert Moore's comment, his question to Mr. Amaya. Ms. Oganessian, is there a way, where can I get what that tally was in terms of who voted to keep the gas tax and who voted to remove the gas tax for whatever short time? Where can I see that?
Yeah, so usually the bills, the information on who voted how should be online. The bill
Okay.
number was AB 1638. So if you do look that up, it does show you who voted for it. I believe it was 40 no's and 19 yeses, and then the rest were abstained. But there should be a list of everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. Okay, so we will then move on to Ms. Chernovsky. You have the floor.
Right. Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Tessa Charnovsky. I am with Supervisor Sheila Kuehl's office. Very happy to be here. There was a little bit of chatter before the meeting started about the supervisor and I guess her staff not necessarily coming to Granada Hills and surrounding areas. If you feel in any way that you need support, anything county related, please give me a call. We are here for you. We want to support your town. And for those of you who saw me earlier at the Granada Hills Chamber meeting, forgive me, I'm going to repeat myself. The Board of Supervisors had a board meeting today, and they passed a really great motion that Supervisor Mitchell and my boss Kuehl co-authored to increase, actually double funding for the organizational grant program, which is funding for nonprofit arts organizations in the county of Los Angeles. So the arts is absolutely critical for so many reasons, and yet funding for the arts has not increased over the years, public funding for the arts. So this would expand the funding from 4.5 million to just about $9 million, phasing it in over many years. And there will be a report back, so it's not going to happen tomorrow. But in all likelihood, this will end up taking place, and there will be an effort to inform arts organizations throughout the county that this is taking place, because we really want folks to apply. And related to this, the board voted to designate the month of April as Arts Month in the LA County area. Another thing I wanted to tell you about is not related to LA, to the city of LA. It's for unincorporated areas, but you may still find it of interest. The board voted on Supervisor Kuehl's motion to reduce waste from single-use plastics and styrofoam. So there was a hearing today. There'll be a board motion soon. It might be the next meeting or another one that in the coming year, we will see a phasing out of single-use plastics in restaurants, requiring restaurants to use actual recyclable materials, as well as compostable materials, and no styrofoam. And it will require that full service restaurants use actual dinnerware, like actual plates, and not, throwaway plastics when people are dining in. If there are concerns about costs, there was another motion that passed today that will work with restaurants and other organizations to make sure that they have the supports that they need to get through this and to make it really feasible. It's absolutely critical that we take action to protect our oceans and waterways in general. Plastic pollution is a real problem, and this will go a long way towards hopefully reducing that. And I see we have some hands. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So let's see, Sid, you have the floor.
Thank you, Tessa, for your update. Just a couple things come to mind. I don't know if you have an answer for them, but recently Judge Carter passed that a big money expenditure for the homeless. I think $1 billion for the county, $6 billion for the city of Los Angeles. And what I'd like to know, with all the homeless on, how do we have an accounting of all this billions of dollars, how it's been spent, and what progress has been made? It seems to me that the homeless population has been growing, yet we've been pouring billions of dollars into these projects. That's my first question. The second question, I understand that the sheriff was summoned to testify about his department. I was wondering if the board or your boss has any concerns about the sheriff's department and its activities. Thank you.
Those are some loaded questions. So on the homelessness issue, oh my goodness. I mean, there's been a lot of progress, but as we know, people continue to fall into homelessness. So I think I mentioned at the last meeting or the meeting before that there is a dashboard that lays out, so, what investments have taken place, and that sort of identifies progress. And also don't forget that we have city HHH and the county H funding, and then there's federal funding and state funding coming in. So you got a lot of blended funding, and you've got like Project Home Key, Project Room Key. So I think what's important is to sort of decipher what it is that you're actually wanting to look at, which jurisdiction. And I'm happy to talk with you offline. I can send you, links. We can talk about specific areas where you've seen a lot of progress, and you can also, point to areas where we have to do better. We definitely have to do better. This is really, really a hard problem. And it's one of the reasons why my boss is really focused upstream on prevention and, making sure that people have the supports they need before they fall into homelessness. The sheriff's issue is beyond my pay grade. So, we work at the local level very, very well with the sheriff's department. So our focus we're in my office, which is located in Calabasas, and the sheriff's department is focused on unincorporated areas and contract cities. Obviously they don't work in Granada Hills, but we work very well with the sheriff's department at the local level, at Lost Hills Sheriff Station, and the collaboration is excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have, is that Mr. or Mrs. Hales? You've got the floor. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much. We are looking at a couple board meetings in the past couple days, actually the past week. Been a lot of discussions continuing about Whiteman Airport. And yesterday in Mission Hills, they were extremely vocal. In fact, the president wanted to call the meeting over with after about 20 minutes. But to the point, somebody suggested that all of this arguments and CISs that are going forward are moot to the point because the county owns it and the county's already decided to close it down. Is that accurate?
Okay, so the supervisor's district offices are divided up. I am not working on Whiteman Airport. It's actually my colleague who is in our East Valley district, but I am very happy to connect her with you all if you'd like. I am not following the Whiteman Airport. You can ask me a bunch of other questions, but that I do not have an answer.
Okay, I can ask a question. This is Michelle, his wife. The question I have is the Project Home Key. I understand that it's funded by the state and the county. And what is the LA County's role in Project Home Key?
So, there's a lot of collaboration. Generally, what the county does is our funding goes to services. So you have, state funding, you have, local funding and federal funding paying for the structure or the renovations. There's a Project Home Key site that it has not been guaranteed funding yet. You may have heard about it. It's the 818 Hotel in Woodland Hills. We're still waiting to find out if we're going to get funding. So it's state funding, but the county is going to be involved because our funding would pay for the services in, the case management, the mental health services, and things like that, making sure that the people that are there, living there, have the supports they need to get well, right, and to thrive. So that's generally how they're divided up. There is some funding for structure, for infrastructure, but mostly the county pays for services.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any more hands up, but I do have a follow-up for you, Ms. Charnowski, based on what you were saying. With this environmental program, as far as suggesting, I'm going to use that word for now, that restaurants, get away from using disposable paper goods, right?
Yes.
So the question I have is, has anyone thought about what that impact is going to have in terms of water usage for businesses within the city of Los Angeles? Because as I know, as a homeowner, right, as many of you do as well, DWP puts rates based on usage. So the more you use, you tend to move up in tiers. And so has anyone talked about what that's going to look like for restaurants if they do use more? Well, they will if they're, encouraged to get away from disposables, right?
Yeah.
So as a business owner, if I was a business owner, that would be a major concern of mine, because that, of course, is going to increase my cost.
Yeah. So it's a good question. I mean, let me just clarify, make sure that I have reinforced the fact that this motion has nothing to do with the city of Los Angeles. It's unincorporated areas.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So,
Got it.
so you don't have to deal with this, but it could be a model that the city of LA will emulate at some point. You know, it's a trade-off. Do you want, you know, fossil fuel, you know, based products, plastics and styrofoam to be used, which uses a heck of a lot of water and energy to create? Or do you want to, you know, wash more, but transporting water is also, you know, uses a lot of energy. So it's a dilemma, but, you know, scientists have come down on, as far as I know, you know, reducing the use of plastics is vastly superior for many, many reasons. In some ways, you know, plastics become, you know, they break down a little bit if they're like released into waterways, they become microplastics, and then the wildlife ingests them, we ingest them. So they're not good for that reason as well. Overall, the thinking is that reducing plastics is better for the earth. But I
No,
hear you.
and I'm all about environmentality as well. So, but thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Brian, one more, and then we will move on. So Brian, you've got the floor.
I don't really want to make a big thing out of this, but the idea of removing all plastics in favor of something, and in most cases, I'm sure it's going to be to other disposables such as paper products. The whole reason we're into plastics today is because we didn't want to affect the forest areas, because that's where we were getting all of our paper goods. So it seems to me that nobody is being sincere and nobody is being honest on this, and nobody is giving the statistics from any scientists to say what is better and what is not. We get the words that science says, but that's the same thing as saying Simon says. Unless you can cite the studies and give us information that is factual rather than propaganda, I think we need to be very cautious of any of these decisions until we can be sure that we are getting accurate information. That's all my comment. Thank you.
And you're absolutely right. And I will do a research. This is not my motion, but the research is absolutely on the side of reducing plastics in favor of compostable and paper-based products that are from, you know, trees that grow more quickly. I mean, certainly you don't want to take down pristine redwoods, you know, but, you know, there are ways that you can, you know, use paper goods that use fewer resources. So I'm happy to look up that information, and I will send it to you, Oscar.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Chernovsky. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Okay, and I believe then lastly, Mr. Fisk, welcome. Do you have any updates for us?
Thank you. Unfortunately, I was not able to put together a crime report from Devonshire. I do know that the SLO office is running at 1/3 capacity. There's only 2 senior lead officers working out of the 6 right now. So that is a kind of a problem. And just an announcement, mark your calendars for April 30th. The Devonshire is going to have their pancake breakfast and open house. So you can all go down there and talk to the police and look at the station and have some pancakes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Any questions for Mr. Fisk? Karen, you've got the floor.
Hi, I really don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for over-the-top job by you and Conan Nolan at the mayoral candidate forum. You did an outstanding job.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the comment.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any others. And so with that, we will then move on from agenda C, and we will move on to item D, public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. I see 3 hands raised from the attendees. I will start with Miss Guzman. Oh, sorry. There you go. You've got the floor.
Actually, I'm one of the field representatives. I was going to give my presentation earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that we can. No, absolutely. And you're with whose office? I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Yeah, no worries. I'm with the Office of Assembly Member Luz Rivas. I'll try to keep it brief and short.
I apologize for that. Okay, let me move you over. And you have the floor. Just unmute yourself, please. There you go.
Everyone, my name is Jessica Guzman. I'm with the Office of Assemblymember Luz Rivas. Like I said, I'll try to keep it brief and short. At this time, our office is still actively helping with constituent casework and assisting with state agency inquiries. Some of the common agencies that we're currently working with are EDD, the State Franchise Tax Board, the California Public Utilities Commission, the DMV, and the California COVID-19 Rental Relief Program. Some of the top questions we're still receiving at this time are in regards to pending benefits with their EDD claim, pending status on their COVID-19 rental relief program, or reports of missing stimulus checks. So if you ever come across a situation like this, or you know a community member who needs assistance with this type of need, we'll go ahead and assist them. Our office is open in person in case anyone ever wants to come in as a walk-in to learn more about state resources. Additionally, we also host virtual office hours. Let's see. I did want to quickly go over some past events that we did last month. Last month, we collaborated with the California Department of Human Resources, and we were able to hold a CalJobs career fair, which was set up as a webinar. And this was intended to provide community members with information and tips for those who are interested in applying for a state job. If anyone is interested in learning how they could apply for a state job, I would be more than glad to give you that link and provide you with information if you are interested. Additionally, our team participated in a college career fair with Los Angeles Mission College. We were very pleased to meet some of the high school and college students within our district, and we were glad to be able to share information on opportunities in public service and assist them with their career exploration journey. Additionally, we also hosted a STEM workshop, which was attended for the youth to give them exposure to the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Let's see. And last week, we also held an essential protective equipment distribution event, which was very helpful in being able to provide our IHSS workers with protective equipment that they need, such as masks, for them to continue to assist our community members. We greatly appreciate the work and contributions that they do in the field of healthcare. In addition, we also held a food distribution event at our district office. If anyone is ever interested in learning more about those events, I'll be more than glad to keep you all on the loop. In regards to legislation updates, I believe last time I brought up about the Clean California State Initiative, which I had stated that the Assemblywoman had been successful in advocating for 19 million alone in our district. These funds will be used to beautify the 5, the 118, the 170, 101, and 210 freeway. Last week, our team participated in the first meeting with Caltrans and the Clean California program, so they could be able to discuss their proposal for their work on the I-5 freeway. If anyone is interested in knowing exactly what those plans are, I would be more than glad to send you a link in case you are interested in seeing what those projects details are going to entail. Thank you again for the board for letting me join in tonight's meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.
Yes, I do. I think we have some hands up, but before I move on to the questions, Ms. Guzman, are you now going to be our field rep for Granada Hills North? Because I believe we had someone different last month. And if so, can you send me your email so that I can add you to the Zoom invite?
Yes, so I believe previously you guys were being assisted by our former field representative, which was Miguel Morales. Unfortunately, he's no longer with our office, so I'll be taking over now for this region.
Okay. And the other question I had is, where did Ms. Rivas stand on this gas tax moratorium?
Yeah, so I believe right now they're trying to see about the gas relief program. I'm still waiting to hear back on the status of that, but if you guys want, I could go ahead and follow up on the gas relief program.
Well, I thought there was already a vote on this. I was just curious to know what did she take a yes or a no position on I believe it was AB 1638.
Mhm. I would need to follow up on that to
Okay,
confirm.
if you could email me, that would be great. That'd be good information for all of us to have.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to give the floor to Alvin. You've got the floor.
Thanks, Oscar. Nice to meet you, Jessica, and thank you for coming out to our meeting. Couldn't help but notice that you said that your office is working directly with the California Public Utilities Commission. So I'm just curious if you have insight on, there's a big push from the California Public Utilities Commission to do away with net metering 2.0. And there's a big push to move to net metering 3.0, which essentially would make it costly for all California residents getting solar, which would then, hurt the industry from, of course, from a homeowner's perspective and also from a jobs gaining perspective as well.
Got it. So in regards to working with the California Public Utilities Commission for casework, mostly we've been getting like concerns of community members expressing that they believe they might have been overcharged. So that's been the capacity in which we've been working with the agency and reaching out to our liaisons to see if we could find further information. But in regards to that legislation, if you could go ahead and email me so I could follow up with my team to see if they have any further details on that specific legislative bill, that would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sid, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jessica. Just to give you an update, Oscar, I contacted the Assemblywoman's office, and she voted against repealing the gas tax. And the reason that was given to me by the office was that it would endanger fixing the roads because of that money would be lost to fixing the roads. That was the answer given to me when I asked. That's answering your question.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem. The university, I know your boss is very interested in science and mathematics, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm concerned about the programs in the UC system now abandoning standardized testing as the method of entering. As you may or may not know, MIT, that had abandoned standardized testing, has now gone back to standardized testing because they found that without the standardized tests, they were having a difficult time finding qualified students for their program at MIT. So I just wonder what the Assemblywoman's view is about the University of California's methodology now in accepting students. Thank you.
Yes, so I believe at this time the Assemblywoman hasn't vocally given her stance on that, but I could go ahead and share your feedback with our team regarding the standardized testing process.
Well, okay. I've spoken to your office before and you never got back to me. So that's maybe, so anyway, I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, got it.
Okay, Mr. Fisk, Richard, you've got the floor.
Yeah, thank you. There's been a lot of questions tonight about the gas tax. And if you're talking about the suspension of the gas tax, that was a bill that was introduced by Kevin Kiley to suspend the gas tax at the pump. It went to a committee and it was gutted and amended to a point where he asked them to take their name off of it. That's the same number of bill that he introduced now is a tax for the oil companies. So it's kind of confusing when you say who voted for what, because did you vote for the Kevin Kiley's original one or the one that was gutted and amended, which he no longer wants to be a part of. So just wanted to update on that.
Oh, thank you. I was not aware. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Okay, one more. We have an attendee, Mr. Wilcox. Is this a question for Ms. Guzman, or did you have a comment on the agenda items? Mr. Wilcox? Okay, so I'm going to move on then, just to clarify then. I believe we're done with government representatives.
All right,
right.
and I'll send you guys an email so that way you could send me your list of questions and inquiries.
Great, thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Guzman. Okay, so now let's move on to public comment. And first hand that I see is Mr. Hales. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In my search for the Holy Grail, I came across something that recently has become a very major topic. That is the new quote unquote Home Depot up on Devonshire. A lot of people are concerned about the Home Depot moving in there, but an interesting fact that came out, a sideline item. In doing the research, we found out that Home Depot has owned that property since September of last year. In regards to notifying the community, for some reason, planning did not mention that because they hadn't filed for their demo yet. Now, one of the things that is come about is the 17 units to the right of the theater that's going to be part of it, those 17 are included in that sale. They don't know it. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that the purchase of this property was basically unbeknownst to the community, and it requires some people with a little bit of edge to be able to get and ask the right question of the right people. I got it from 4 different sources. The interesting thing is that when you think about all of the activity moving to bring new housing in for the unhoused, if you will, there's a lot of activity going on out there that we don't know about. And it really requires extra efforts to find out. Now, when asked that question, District 12, we're not getting really a straight answer on that. But just keep in mind, Home Depot has owned that, and they're waiting for that demo permit to be approved so they can provide their project to building and safety, et cetera. So thank you.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Hales. Okay, let's see, Mr. Henry. I see a hand up. Mr. Garrett Henry. Okay, I'm going to move on. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Wilcox, did you have anything to say? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's now move on to item E. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. So President's comment. So 2 things. One I didn't put on here, just to remind people, but the first thing is want to make sure that, again, just as a reminder to the chairs of the various committees, if something comes before you, before your committee, make every effort to be informed, to do research, to find out what it relates to, so that way when you have your meeting with your committee, you're well informed and you should be able to hopefully answer some questions, but also to provide the relative information related to such items. Okay. If there is something that you happen to receive, someone emails you something that is not pertinent to your committee, please make sure to email that as soon as possible to the pertinent chair. All right, so that way it gives them time to, again, do their research and figure out what needs to be done or what they need to have readily available in time for their meetings. Okay, does that make sense? Anyone have any questions on that? Okay, the other thing, just as a reminder, it's April. And so in 2 months, keep in mind, every year it's the positions of president, vice president are up for election. So keep that in mind. We're getting close. So just kind of start thinking about that. All right. So just FYI. All right. So with that, then let's move on to item F, 1A. All these files you should have received, and hopefully you reviewed them in advance of the meeting. So that item is to discuss and approve the board meeting minutes for the last meeting, March 1st, 2022. So let's see. It's now open for any comments or questions from the board.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Karen makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Who was that?
Thomas Hartfield will second.
Tom, thank you. Okay. All right. So let's take a vote. Okay, so any opposed to the board meeting minutes, state your name, please. Okay, I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name, please. I hear none. Okay, so this motion passes by unanimous vote. Excellent. Okay, the next item, discussion and motion to approve up to $400 for Zoom licenses. The cost is $200 each, and it has come to our attention that effective May 1st of this year, Dunn may no longer cover the cost of this license. And that's kind of up in the air, or the discussion, and correct me, Karen, has to do with the fact that they're discussing possibly going back to actual live meetings, okay, in-person meetings.
Correct.
And so that's why this is on the agenda. So Karen, if you have some more information, that'd be great.
Well, I'd like to defer to Gibson since he's still here to re-clarify Raquel's position or the department's position as of Saturday. Or as of today, actually.
Ms. Waters. So I think one thing is we've definitely been talking to letting everybody know that as meetings continue to stay virtual, we want to be able to, we do believe that I think we want to transition in terms of sharing costs of the Zoom licenses. And so it's something that is being discussed throughout the neighborhood council system as to this gives also NC systems the ability to purchase additional ones if they want to use it for committee meetings specifically. That would be the recommendation. It's just something that the department has seen fit moving forward as we will stay virtual for the foreseeable future.
Alfredo, you've got the floor.
So now that we're paying for this cost, are we now owners of the recordings and the stuff now that we're paying for this cost?
The recordings have always been always owned by the board. It's just that we've always paid for the unlimited cloud storage, so it's always accessible to stakeholders whenever they request for them.
Okay, thank you, Alfredo. Brian?
Yes, I don't have a problem personally with buying Zoom licensing. I don't know. I think 2 is a good idea also.
Is someone knocking on the door?
Hello? Sorry, Alfredo.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
There's a big knock on the door, man, like the police is here or something, you know? Granada Hill, dangerous city.
That was my head.
Okay, mystery solved. The idea of having Zoom licenses is a good idea. We should have them even if we go live again, because there could be some use to that, as some of us are seeing in clubs, etc. But I would highly recommend against going to a webinar format. I would go back to the Zoom. It's cheaper and it's easier. It provides more transparency to the public, so the public can see who they're talking to and who's talking to them. I think we need to consider that. The webinar was always a recommendation. It was never a requirement. And the issue that forced it has not surfaced to be very important. And anytime that we have a disruptive individual, you can terminate them and they're gone for good. So I have no reason to think that we should go to a webinar format in any respect, and other councils are currently using just the Zoom format. So that's my recommendation, and I think the idea is good to have our own Zoom license.
Thank you, sir. On the attendance, Mr. Devandry, welcome. My goodness, what, you're like 3 hours ahead? You have the floor, Aaron.
You need to move him over.
I know, Mr. Devandry, can you hear me? Aaron?
Aaron.
Wow, there we go. Let's see, he's moved over as a panelist.
There he is.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. We were saying, you're like 3 hours ahead? Thank you
It's
for
just
joining.
1 hour. Just
Thank
1
you for
hour.
joining us. Okay.
By the
So
way,
you-
we are going to be moving in a little over almost 2 months from now to Arizona and from Colorado, and so I will actually be on Pacific time at that point. So anyway.
Oh my, you're moving closer to your parents. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Excellent.
We're gonna be
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I'm excited about that. Anyway, I had a couple comments about this Zoom thing, and so I was just gonna ask about them. One, why is there on the agenda to get 2 Zoom accounts instead of just 1?
Reason being, if I may, is for the executive committee, and then we have several other committees, and it isn't always possible for Oscar or for me to get someone's meeting started. So if a committee chair, because we have several committees, and they can operate freely without having to have us present. So although it's something that you're not normally at our meetings, I don't think, Aaron, but
Actually, if I may, Karen, that's a good point. But now that you're asking the question, Aaron, I think are you going to the point that we can actually assign various members to have access to it? Because I believe that was one of the things that we could have done with this one, but it was never, I tried it, but it was
We tried it.
It never worked. But if
Yeah.
we have our own, then we should be able to assign those rights to the various users. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And the only reason I would see about having 2 of them was if you had meetings that were like, say, 2 different committee meetings at the same time. But I don't think you guys do that on your council. So it didn't seem like, I just didn't see why you would have 2. Another comment I had was, as far as the regular Zoom meetings versus the webinars, I've noticed, because I host some Zoom meetings for organizations, that there could be issues with, well, I guess Brian kind of brought it up, people who come in and cause a problem with their comments or how they, their behavior in the meetings. But the problem that I've noticed is that I think the city says something about, if someone comes in, you kind of have to let them talk because of freedom of speech or something like that. So you can't just kick someone out. And so just be real careful with that. Anyway, I don't know.
That's a good point. It's something to consider. Absolutely.
That's where the webinars are kind of, in my opinion, a little bit better protection against that for your councils, but it's probably something to look into and see what works better for you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for helping us with that. So maybe we'll bring it down to 1 license, but for now, let's see. So
one more comment, and it was that the price I know for Zoom is super expensive. And so if it's just $200, is that for the year? Because if so, that's a really good price. And I believe the city is sharing that price with the council. Is that correct?
They're sharing it. They're sharing it now? I don't think so.
No. I mean, at the $200, I believe the city takes on the majority of the cost and just asks for $200 from the NC for the year.
So Gibson, can you clarify that? And then I'll get to the hands that are up. So thanks. Thank you for bearing with me.
Thanks, guys.
Gibson, are you there? Okay, we'll get back to Gibson with that question. So Wade, did you have a question?
I'm here. Sorry about that. I couldn't unmute myself for some reason.
So Gibson, sorry, Wade. The question is on the Zoom cost. Aaron asked the 200 seems low. So does that mean that the city is subsidizing part of that cost?
Partially. I think I don't have a good answer to the question, but I can definitely give a good answer. Based off the way we purchase it, because we purchase it in bulk, we're just able to get the way Zoom charges, it's a different cost variant and much different from when you're purchasing it on an individual level. Because when we purchased it, we bought over for 99, so we bought about 135 accounts with both unlimited, because the additional cost has always been the features, especially the 1-800 for stakeholders to call into the 1-800 number, that it's an additional cost. It's not an addition. It's not included in the cost. So this is what made sense as a cost estimate as to the operation of using the Zoom account.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Wade, you've got the floor.
Yes, I just wanted to reinforce Ryan's observation about Zoom. I had the webinar, I suffered through it. I fought against it because it didn't work. And when I was using Zoom, I found Zoom worked so much better, so much smoother, and you can control the guests without any problem at all. So again, I think as far as choice of system, going with Zoom is definitely a really good choice. And I would recommend it over the webinar system any day of the week. And I had a lot of experience with both. So thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Karen?
Yes, my suggestion is that we have someone from either Zoom or maybe the city representative for Zoom to present our board with the pros and the cons of the Zoom and the webinar. Because I think some of us have been and attended some of those webinars where, I mean, no one really cares about the foul language. We hear that in meetings all the time, but for the purposes of the Zoom bombing, we've had some situations with that, and it does disrupt the meeting and it extends the time of your meeting. So if you're trying to get off at 8:30 and you have the Zoom bomb person comes in, it can delay your meeting. One meeting was delayed for 30 minutes because they were trying to get the person off. So I think since we are a board, that it's only appropriate that we put it for a board vote and see who supports which after we hear the pros and cons is my suggestion.
Thank you, Karen. Brian, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I respect Karen's position on that, but I have to tell you, I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings and in and outside the city, and the fact is that if a hacker wants to hack into your system, it doesn't matter what system you have, they will find a way, and you can't stop them. You can't say that webinar will stop it, because I've been on webinars where the same thing that Karen's saying has happened. The problem is that you have to understand the difference between disruption and foul language. Foul language you can't do anything about. Disruption you can, and that's where the line has to be drawn. And if you do that properly and you learn what you have in your system, it is an easy thing to maintain. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, anyone else? I don't see any hands. Now, so based on what we just heard, and there is a dollar amount attached to this. I mean, I know it's time sensitive because if they do not have it past May 1st, that poses a problem. But should we put this off to the next meeting until we have a firm number as far as what that cost is going to be? Because we cannot vote on, if it's 200 and we vote for 200 and it comes out to be 400, now we're going to have to take this item up again. Brian?
To address that issue, the cost of Zoom, you can look up online anytime you want for both webinar and just the standard Zoom. If you're looking at the $200 level today and you go with a standard Zoom, you won't have any issue. If you go with a webinar, and depending on the bells and whistles you want to add to it, it could exceed the number that you're voting on. However, if we look at it and we evaluate it before our next meeting, we can always have another agenda item to increase the amount that we want to spend. So I don't think you have an issue, but I do think we have an urgency to do the job of identifying what it's going to cost.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Alfredo, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, this is the cost of doing business for us, cost of our operation. I mean, if it ends up being 200 or if it ends up being 400, do we really have much of a choice? I don't know. Do we really need to discuss this? I think do we even need to vote on it? Because this is like saying I need a pen and a piece of paper so I can take notes.
Well,
It's less than an office.
I agree with what you're saying, Alfredo. I mean, it is part of doing business, but we are required to, it's an expenditure, so we are required to take action, take a vote on it. So.
I just don't see the need to postpone when we might need it before we didn't meet next. And if the cost ends up being 600, we really don't have a choice.
Well, consider we save $20,000 on rent, on office rent a year. It's like, why are we talking about?
I motion to move this
Wait,
motion to approve this because
okay,
I
hold
don't
on.
think
Okay.
we should discuss it.
Okay, hold on, Alfredo. Let me see. Alvin, you have the floor, and then we have Aaron.
I guess, Oscar, I just need to clarify if you're saying that there's an urgency for this to be voted upon by May 1st.
Well, assuming if Dunn is not going to support it after May 1st, then we do need to take some action because that's just around the corner. Unless Gibson, you can clarify, are the NC is going to be given time to, migrate to.
Yeah, I think we just want to make sure that our boards are taking action. It's not going to be immediate where board members boards are left to strangle, but by them left strangling it. We just want to make sure we can figure out a best course of action in this transition. We always try to make sure we provide additional adequate support, especially when they do any issues of transition.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Aaron, do you have your hand up? You've got the floor, and then we'll move on to a vote.
Yeah, could the item on this be to vote up to a certain amount to cover what might need to be the case if you do need to spend more than $200?
That's a good point. Yes. I guess we could amend the motion and put a dollar.
I apologize. Yeah.
It's already up to.
Okay, so 400 should hopefully be enough. Okay, so if everyone's okay, then we can move forward and take a vote on that.
No other hands up, so we'll take a vote.
Okay, all right, then let's move forward. Brian, you have the BAC for that?
The vote on purchasing Zoom license. I'm a yes. Karen?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Raheem? Oh, he's not here. Alfredo?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Danitza?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
And Robert?
Yes.
That's pretty much unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so if you just send that BAC to me, Brian, I'll sign it and send it your way.
Prepare it tonight and get it to you.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so moving on to treasurer report. So Brian.
Okay. I know you have another item later on, which is going to address some version of the CAG side of this, and the budget advocate report. I wasn't at the last meeting, and I don't see Glenn here, so my understanding that there wasn't a whole lot done at that meeting, so we're still trying to. I think they approved a white paper, and that should be available soon. I actually can send around the draft on that so you can see what that is. Uh, the uh, the organization is trying to maintain a communication within each other on the voting for the individual reports. The individual reports, many of them are done, some of them are not. There's still some discussion going on. There's still some discussion with Dunn. There's a question which I may personally, outside the budget advocates, ask a question of Raquel. There's a statement that's been made that Dunn has not communicated with the budget advocates on a financial basis in 10 months. I don't know if that's true or not, but that is a statement that was made at budget advocates, as I understand from talking with another member. Other than that, there's not much to say about budget advocates. They're mostly, I will take questions if you have any questions, if anything comes to mind that you're curious about. We certainly still want input from anybody that's interested in putting their 2 cents in. With regards to the CAG, obviously there's been no CAG meetings. There are some of us who are still in communication. You may hear more of that when you talk to Craig or Andrew on EHR. With regards to the financials here, we have 2 MERs to approve. They have both been sent out to everyone. The February was sent out to everyone in early March, and the March MER was sent out today, this morning. It was the first moment that we could get an MER. As a matter of fact, when I went to try and generate it, it wasn't even available this morning until I think it was around 10 o'clock. So you got it as soon as I got it, and at this point, Oscar, do you have them?
I'm looking through my emails, Brian, and I do not have.
If you don't,
the
I
March
can.
one.
If you'll allow me to share screen, I think I can.
Yeah, I did. I already made you a co-host, so you
Oh.
should be able to share. Yep.
Good. Right here is. This is the February, and as
There you go.
see,
Thank you.
I hope you can all see it well. As you can see, there is $30,000 left to spend, so we still have quite a bit of money to move if we come up with some decent projects. Try to move this up. In February, we had the same basic expenses. We had Mission Hills storage. We had a whole lot of Aaron, sorry Aaron, but we caught up Aaron at that point. And I now, we've gone a month or two past, so I still have more. And we also approved and submitted the Volunteers for Cleaning Communities and Karen's reimbursement, which was not cashed yet, so it's in outstanding expenditures. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
So Brian, for me, we're getting close to the end of the year, and so you're saying we have 30,000 left, roughly. That, of course, is going to be depleted with the remainder of the webmaster cost and the rental of the units. We also have the expenditures or costs for the upcoming shred event. So how much are we looking at that? Because then that can give us an idea in terms of what potentially we may
even with
end up with.
Even with the previously approved items, which you're right on, the shred event mostly. We've got this is April, so April, May, and June. You got $600 for storage. You've got I think 4 or 5 months for Aaron for the rest of the year. If it's 5 months, we're looking at 450. Oh no, more than that, I guess. 700. And So we're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 of expenses that are sitting out there that we've approved, including the Zoom. So we're looking at 25,000 available. 10,000 of that we would normally roll over if we don't use it. So you're looking at a minimum of 15,000, maximum of 25,000 that we actually have to spend at this moment.
And to your point, 10,000 we can roll over
Correct.
to the following year. So really, if we were to do that, we have 15,000, and I know we have an item on the agenda from an MPG. So depending on where that falls to, so maybe at this point, we might want to start doing some outreach and see if there are organizations within our boundaries that need some funding, and start encouraging them to, maybe submit an MPG.
I wouldn't personally, it would be my personal position that I wouldn't be holding back on spending if there is something valuable that we think is going to be of benefit to the community or to the city. So I wouldn't hold back on that 10,000 for next year, simply because it doesn't matter when you spend it. If you've got a good project, you've got a good project.
Oh, no, I agree, Brian. I'm just saying, no, I agree. I mean, if we can spend the entire amount of 25,000, then great. But knowing that if we can't get to that dollar, at least if we can shoot for the 15, right? Knowing that we can move the 10,000 to next year. But I agree. Let's shoot for using as much as possible. So this year, that makes sense. Okay, Karen, you have your hand up.
Yes, we are waiting for some quotes, we being outreach committee, and hopefully we will have those items available that should help to reduce that a bit for some community projects. So we're waiting for someone else to provide us with the numbers.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Brian. I don't have anyone else have any questions for Brian? I don't see any, so I guess.
Let's take a vote.
Perfect.
We'll vote on approving the February MER. And that I am a yes. Karen?
Yes.
Sid? I'll come back to you. Oscar?
Yes.
Alfredo?
The answer is yes, sir. Sorry.
Thank you. Ralph?
Yes.
Denitza?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And Sid?
Yes.
Thank you. That's 14 yes, thank you, it's unanimous. And then we have, if I can get over to it, we have March. And March, we are looking at 30,525. Again, the reason for it being the same is because the expenditures, which were basically the same, were outstanding in February for volunteers of cleaning and Karen. Those have been cashed, so they come out as expenditures, and we had an additional $200 again for Mission Hills. Any questions? There really isn't much to see. I can't see if there's questions, so.
No, I think we can move on. I don't see any hands raised either, Brian.
Then let's vote on March. And I just got to get back to that sheet. Okay, I am a yes. Karen?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Alfredo?
Yes, sir.
Ralph?
Yes.
Denitza?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And that's unanimous again, 14 votes. This is probably the wrong time to bring this up, but I would like to ask the question, and I guess this comes to you, Alfredo. The roster is not updated at Dunn. And since Gibson, I think you're still on the line, I'd like to ask the question, why? And I would also like to know if one of our members has not showing as taken ethics, is not current, I'd like to know, I should have asked this question before the votes. If that is accurate, then such person could not vote.
The thing that we always ask, making sure, is having code of conduct is the main one that we've been asking everybody. I think you asked about the ethics.
I am asking about ethics.
The best recommendation if a board member doesn't have the ethics training is just to refrain from voting on it because they don't have all their trainings completed.
Okay,
So we're just taking honor roll?
Then with that statement, Oscar, I have to ask the question. One of our members is not recorded as having taken ethics currently. Therefore, has that person actually taken it and it's not been recorded or not?
So it has been recorded. That was a technical issue, which Gibson can allude to. There's been some sort of a problem with the
Who is
cornerstone.
it that we're referring to? Is it me?
No, no, not yet.
No.
But we've been over this a few times.
Yeah, this one should have been sorted out. This one, I'll touch base with a colleague. I'm not sure
So
why.
it's a recording error then. It has been taken. Okay.
Yes.
This has been addressed before.
Okay. I just needed to quickly try to address that because I didn't
Brian?
want to take the votes and not and ignore that statement, because we all get the profiles and you can look at it yourself. I just don't want to be callous on that. That's all.
Right.
No, thank you for your diligence on that. So no, we're good.
Maybe you can teach me where to find it so that way I can adjust the roster at every meeting.
Alfredo, the issue on the roster is Sitlali and Michael. Both of them are still sitting there.
We need to remove them.
They've been removed.
Well, if I may, I was going to make this announcement at outreach, but they have been behind and they lost the person who does this and some other postings. So I think they might be behind on that, but they have been notified.
Can on the minutes that I sent to you guys, it does not have those two individuals.
I'm not too concerned about us guys. I'm concerned about Dunn not having done the job, and I'd like to put that on record.
Okay, so let's move on. This is something that we can. I mean, it's been addressed, so it's just a matter of follow-up. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so I guess treasurer report, we're good, Brian?
We're good.
All right, thank you, sir. Plum, there was no Plum committee meeting this month. Tom, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to share.
Thank you, Oscar. No, there's no additional items. Just the next meeting will be the 21st of April.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I suggest something?
Yes, sir. What's that?
That issue. I sent you. I called you, Oscar, on a voicemail. We didn't connect. The issue with Home Depot is an issue I think that everybody should be aware of, and if we could weigh in on it, that'd be great. But it's not in our territory. But something that isn't in our territory but is very close to us is the issue, and it's going to be addressed again on Thursday at Granada Hills South, at the corner of Balboa and San Fernando Mission. There is a banquet hall that used to be a pet store, and it is now going to be, or at least we think it's going to be, a grocery outlet. Well, if any of us do any business at that particular strip mall, that strip mall has full parking all the time, all day long. And for a organization like Grocery Outlet to come in, and the only thing they asked of Granada Hills South was, will you approve us having a alcohol permit? They never asked for any approval for setting up shop there. And yet they're convinced that they have the right to do this without any scrutiny whatsoever. And I think we should take that up as an issue, because our constituents here do shop at that center for one reason or another, whether it is for Trader Joe's or whether it is for some of the small shops there. It doesn't matter. There's 2 veterinarians there and there's a Chase Bank. So I would really like to suggest that we put that on our plum and address that. I personally think it's important to us. The other thing that I would like to bring to everybody's attention, if you aren't aware, is that all of a sudden a street vendor has set up at Knollwood Center and is blocking the sidewalk. I don't know if they're permitted. I don't know if that's acceptable, but I think we should look into it and try to decide what to do there as well.
Okay, thank you,
It's a
Brian.
great stop for Taco Tuesday. Oh, today's Tuesday, huh? We can't go. Oh, man.
Mr. Fisk, and then Alvin, I'll come to you.
Yeah, I think it was last month or the month before, I asked for an update, if anyone knows what's going on with the so-called 440 project at San Fernando and Woodley.
Thomas, do you have an update on that? Or Karen, I know it's, did they actually show up to the Plum meeting?
They have not yet as well. The project
Okay.
manager who I communicate with does not actually do the formal update. So Heritage Development will be doing that. I have to reach out. Obviously, I had some things going on the last couple of months, but we'll find, as of right now, they're laying utilities. It's still for 242 condos and townhomes and the commercial space. So it's still the same project. They're way behind, as we know. So, but right now they are laying utilities.
So maybe we can, maybe
Thank you,
Karen, if you
Karen.
can, reach out to them, or Tom, reach out to them and see if they can join the next Plum meeting to give
Sure.
us an update.
Sure.
So, that would be great.
Thank you.
Alvin?
Yeah, just one quick point of order that I do need to call though is anything that's in the Balboa and San Fernando area, that's something that we need to direct to Granada South. The Woodley, like in the Knollwood area, it makes sense, but anything at Balboa and San Fernando is not something we should be discussing on our Plum Committee. That's something that needs to be directed to Granada South.
Thank you, sir. Alfredo?
Yes, I just wanted to know, Thomas, what's the date and the time of your next meeting? I would like to take those onto the meeting minutes, so that or our meeting minutes, so that when people see them, it's actually on there.
Sure, yeah, Alfredo, it is the next regularly scheduled Planning and Land Use meeting, Plum, is April 21st, 2022, Thursday, and it begins at 6:30 p.m. And it'll obviously be Zoom as well.
Thank you, man. All right,
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wade?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if my memory serves me correctly, but on the Woodley San Fernando mission build out that they're doing, did we not negotiate, or did they not agree to provide a meeting place for the GHNNC once they had that construction complete?
There is no commitment on that.
Wait on.
I know where you're
I
going.
seem to remember it going to
I was there.
hearings.
I know, but when I spoke to the project manager at this time, that is not on the table. So we'll take it to Heritage and see where we go from there. But I'm with you. I was there. I've been there from the very beginning. That's how I came to the neighborhood council.
Well, no, I know. I just want to make sure, because otherwise they're misrepresenting
I know
what occurred at the hearings, and I believe,
Okay.
and remember, we had Mikey was involved in all of that too.
You
And
believe you
there
are
was an
correct.
agreement
Okay.
that they
well,
had a little auditorium or a meeting place out there.
We
and
will
that
follow
they
up,
would
Wade.
provide it
Okay.
to us.
We will
Okay, so
follow up, point of
take-
order.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Thank you. We will follow up. Thank you. Comment well taken. Brian, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond quickly to Alvin's point. He is right. It is in Granada Hills South Territory, the corner of Balboa and San Fernando Mission. But if everyone will remember, Granada Hills South weighed in with us on the 440 project. And I'm not suggesting that we take that project on at Balboa and San Fernando. I'm just saying that we should weigh in on a plumb basis with Granada Hills South and allow them to know our feelings on it. Obviously, Alvin's right, it's not within our jurisdiction to make any final judgments on, but we certainly have a right to discuss anything that happens in the city, regardless of whether it's in our community or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So make a note of that, Thomas, maybe reach out to the pump committee for GHNSC, SMC, excuse me. All right,
Okay, thank
two
you.
more, Sid.
Yeah, I
You
just
have the floor.
wanted to, thank you. I just wanted to direct the committee the sidewalk on Balboa at Knollwood. It's been under repair now for at least a month and a half. And if anybody's walking down Balboa on the east side, they have to cross into the lane of traffic to bypass that sidewalk that's still under construction. So this.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for that, Sid. I was wondering how long it's been, so I thought it was only a couple of weeks, but if it's been a month, then I'll
More
reach
than a
out.
month. More
Okay,
than-
I know which one you're talking about. I'll reach out to John Lee's office. Lorraine, I believe, is public safety. And
Yeah, Oscar,
find
real
it.
quick, Oscar, I can actually comment on that because I actually live in that area. And it's not under construction at all. It's just cordoned off. So there hasn't been a single amount of work done. It's just cordoned off. That's all it is, because it's
Right.
a hazard going down the ditch.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know who to contact about that, but yeah, we'd like to get some work done. That'd be helpful.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'll reach out to Lorraine in John's office. I'll email her after this meeting so that I can get some information. Okay, because that is a hazard for pedestrians. Okay, Alvin, and then I will move to the attendee and we'll close this item. Alvin?
Just curious regarding the development on San Fernando, if we're able to see a copy of, it would be the architectural summary that should outline the details of what's master planned in the project.
Yeah, we should be able to. So we can certainly reach out to them. and
Yeah, I have a
request that.
copy of it, one of them. So we'll see if that compares with what they have at Council District 12.
Okay, thank you. And then attendee, and we'll close this off. Mr. Hales?
Excellent, thank you. I'll make it quick. Heritage Group, I have 7 years of experience dealing with them. That included our strong support from 12, John Lee and his associates that are working so hard on the projects. But I have personal experience you need to know about if you're going to go up against Heritage Group. There's 7 years of it, and feel free to reach out to me. I will share with you a lot of information. You're talking about plans. I found out plans were in midair and were changed between the time they were presented and signed off. So reach out to me, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to, it is 8:25 time check. We've got quite a bit to go. We'll skip item I. Let's move on to item J, Citywide Issues Committee Report. Sid, so you take it away.
Thank you. As you know, we had a special meeting between the board and our committee, and we were to review the code of conduct and the workplace policy developed by the city. And the first has to do, we reviewed the document. I sent out the documents, they're the links to them. I hope you can look at them. But the committee found the workplace policy so cumbersome, so detailed, so full of commenting on so many things that we felt it was much too complicated for people to, there'd be too many loopholes, and we felt it should be sent back and be rewritten. That was we couldn't come up with a good plan to improve it.
This is the workplace code of equity. So the motion is to oppose implementation of the proposed workplace equity policy. So if I'm clear, you're opposing it as is, but are we coming back to suggest a different document or certain things be changed?
As I said, we couldn't find specifics to change. We felt the whole document had to be rewritten. We did. You may want to amend it, asking them to amend it or whatever, but the committee felt that was just too cumbersome for us to really try to rewrite that. There were issues on the whole definition of discrimination, whether it was compliant with there's labor codes and discrimination is written into the Constitution of the State of California. There's all kinds of issues that we felt were just too cumbersome for us to deal with. We don't have labor lawyers or whatever. So,
okay, Karen, you've got the floor.
Well, as we all know, and some of us know her, Capri Maddox is an attorney, and she is in charge of the general manager and executive director of the Civil and Human Rights Department. So the city of Los Angeles is, this is from My Voice LA, my fellow board members. The city of Los Angeles has developed My Voice LA for current and former employees, contract workers, interns, and volunteers, commissioners, elected and appointed officials, and applicants for city employment who are seeking more information about their rights and responsibilities relating to discrimination, harassment, and or retaliation. If you believe you have been subjected to discrimination, harassment, or retaliation, you can use this portal to submit a complaint online. And the other half of it is diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And this is from the workplace equity policy. Every individual adds unique contribution toward making the city of Los Angeles a place where all employees can grow and succeed. We enable these contributions by actively embracing a diversity of people, ideas, talents, and experiences. The city of Los Angeles is proud of its commitment to inclusion and diversity among our employees. Diversity in our workforce gives the city access to a rich range of talent representing different experiences, perspectives, and styles. These differences foster a collaborative and innovative work environment that makes us stronger and better organization at every level. And really, the bottom line is, it is necessary to have a workplace equity policy. And there are many people, there's a group in the neighborhood council system who don't like rules. They don't want to be told. But for those of us who have been victims within that, we know how it feels. And so the city just wants everyone to be treated equally. And that's what the bottom line of the workplace equity policy is for. And I will be voting no to oppose the workplace law. I encourage a no vote.
Any other comments? I have this document on my screen in case no one has seen it, but I did send it out with the email. Sid, you have the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate the concern. Los Angeles already has a workplace policy in place, and this broadens the workplace. And if you look in the protected classes, there's one class that is not part of the protected class, and that is political beliefs are not considered while they are considered a protected class under the labor code. And so that I understand the work towards equity, the inclusion, and all those issues that should be rectified. But I think that, I don't know what was wrong previously with the workplace policy from the city of Los Angeles. And we felt it was too complicated, and maybe some people feel it isn't, and that's the way it can be voted for.
Okay. I'm going to kind of weigh in on this one too. Now, the city of Los Angeles may have the workplace equity policy in place already, and I believe that is pertinent to employees. I think what they're trying to do here is put out something that also the NCs can abide by. Now, the form in its written form currently, yes, there may be things that could be, or should be changed, some of the terminology. So from my perspective, for me, it would mean, going back to them and saying, okay, let's make amendments here and there. From my perspective, I believe and I feel that something like this is necessary at the NC level, because I have, in the years that I've been on this board, have seen situations that have gotten out of hand. And so we do need, from my perspective, some of these guidelines that people can follow and adhere to. The way the motion is written, perhaps maybe it's rewriting it or changing it, amending it. So rather than saying oppose implementation, it's something to the effect of suggest or recommend changes to the document. And I'm okay with that. But for me, I would be a no vote on this. I would oppose this amendment or this motion as written. Let's see, anybody else? I don't see any hands.
Brian.
Brian, there you go. Thank you, sir.
Okay, this is one of those topics that nobody ever wants to address, and I do understand everybody's position. I appreciate everyone's position, but let me voice it. I'm not going to take a stand on this uniquely. That may be a surprise, but let me try to put a different perspective to it. I have never seen or heard of a baby who was born with bias or prejudice. Never. So how does a person become biased or prejudiced? They become biased or prejudiced through education, whether that be education that they get from their parents, whether that be education they get from the school system, or just life in general. They see things, they learn things, and that's how they develop in life. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody should go on their own way and have whatever feelings they want and act on them. But I have said before that you cannot change a person's feelings. You can teach them that they should not act in certain ways, and that other people have opinions that are different than theirs, and they have a right to them. And I think the answer to this problem is not in us making a decision here. It's not in the city making a decision of how to instruct people to function and act, but it is in training and teaching and sharing and allowing people to exist with other people. And when you have a situation that is harmful, making sure that they are brought aware and punished for being harmful to other people. So for that reason, I don't think any of these policies are really addressing the issue. They are putting a Band-Aid on the issue and trying to force people to act in a way that is contrary to their feelings, and the real problem is changing their feelings. So I don't believe this is going to work. I don't believe it has ever worked. We know over the centuries that people still feel the same way because they've never been able to be taught or shown how to interact with people that they don't understand or don't agree with. So it's just a different perspective. Not asking anybody to agree or disagree with me, and I'm not suggesting anybody vote yay or nay. I'm just trying to put a different perspective out there to try and help get through the problems that we have, and it's going to take decades, if not century, to work this out of people's feelings. Just my opinion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Brian. Wade, you've got the floor.
Yes, I'd like to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Sid, sitting on the City Issues Committee, obviously spent a lot of time looking at this and came to the conclusion that it was just too complex and they couldn't support it. At least that's what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong again, that anybody on the GHNNC has put in the time that he has and his committee looking at this particular policy. So I would suggest going with his recommendation, which would be to oppose the implementation. The other thing is, if you see a policy and you see this problems, and one he pointed out was there was nothing in there about people having political views, okay, and being discriminated against. And that's a big one. And so if you can't get behind opposing it and you think that it should be approved, then you can also say that you can approve it, subject to modifications, and then, suggest what the improvements are. Unless they implement them, you don't support it. In other words, you see it being lacking. So I'm saying there's other ways around it, but obviously I would think that you should go with Sid's recommendation since they had spent the time looking at it. So that was just my opinion, again, as the public. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Wade. Karen?
Thank you, Oscar. Simply stated, workplace equity means fair treatment for all. And again, it's easy for those who have never had the experience to comment on something when for people who have had the experience, it's a totally different situation. And in the workplace, there are boundaries you can't cross. In your public life, you can do whatever you want in your personal life. But when we are under the umbrella of the city of Los Angeles, and everyone has a right to be treated equally. This is a volunteer role. People don't have to be here. But there have been a lot of problems. I mean, right to Oscar's point, there have been issues on, going back on GHNNC, but across the neighborhood council system as a whole, there are problems that I would never get into here, but there are a great deal of problems and issues, and we need to serve our public. I'm going to make a quick comment because I want to be respect to time, but many of these alliances, all they talk about is what they don't like, who they don't like. We don't any longer speak about how we're supposed to be serving our stakeholders. Every meeting is about what we don't like, bashing the department, bashing the mayor. And so I think we really need to kind of check ourselves on this situation and look at, this is for us, and this is for our best interest of all people, not just some people. And nothing about political views. This is about harming individuals because of who they are. So it's for fair treatment for all. That's all this is about. And we can have the Capri back at another time if we really want to go through this. But I think if you don't understand how it feels, then you don't understand how it feels. But from someone who's been there, this is important. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Karen. Sid, you've got the floor.
Thank you. With all due respect, I think some people are making a judgment that people haven't felt discrimination or being put down, and they can't speak about that. I come from a group that has been marginalized since its inception. I'm a doctor. Medicine was boycotting doctors of my religion in the United States from its inception. People of my religion had to build their own hospitals because they weren't being allowed into their hospitals. Where I come from, that people got selected to medical schools based geographically. In areas where there was a high propensity of my religion, they had a quota number that could be accepted into medical school. Other areas didn't have those quotas. So to make a broad statement that people who want to look at equity have never felt anything, I think is, it's really not true. I don't want to say that switch me on. I'm just saying, basically, this is so detailed, the whole concepts of microaggressions and all these sorts of things that are in this document. To one person is a microaggression, and to someone else, I think it's too complicated to be implemented. So I understand the desire to have fairness and whatever. I don't think this document is the way to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Alvin?
Thank you, Oscar. I'll try to make this quick. So just echoing what our vice president said, that one of the things that just to understand about workplace equity is it's just kind of setting that standard for us to be sensitive to one another based on our backgrounds. We don't necessarily have to agree on everything, but it's to be sensitive on to your point of view and their background and efforts to be able to work together, because the reality is it's I guess the way to promote workplace equity is to keep people educated. So I come from a workplace where workplace equity is emphasized heavily because we work with people with different backgrounds. We have to be able to work together. So by not promoting that, that's leaving an open door for somebody to basically to cross boundaries, which is something we do not want to promote within this neighborhood council. We owe it to our stakeholders to set an example for them. So that being said, this is something that I'm honestly not comfortable in being in support of.
I don't see any more hands.
Thank you, Alvin. I don't see any more hands. Yeah, so let's, okay, so let's move on then, and let's take a vote on this item. Sorry, yeah, it's already 8:44. Okay, so again, I'm going to just read what it says. Discussion and proposed action that GHNNC oppose implementation of the proposed Los Angeles workplace equity policy. All right, so those opposed to this motion, state your name.
Aaron.
Alvin.
Denitza.
Hold on, Elvin Waters, Denitza, Pantoja. Anyone else?
Jason.
Jason Lester. Anyone else?
Graham.
Graham Zach. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I will put my name on there. Okay. Any abstentions? State your name.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Anyone else?
Brian.
I abstain too, sir.
Alfredo Castillo. Okay. Anyone else? State your
Oscar,
name.
I'm sorry, I've got a quick question. I may have misunderstood. On that item, J1, are you just reading that verbiage, and is that the motion that's on the floor? I think I'm confused. I apologize for the. for that?
Yeah, that's the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
That oppose the implementation of the LA workplace equity policy.
Okay, I'll wait until my turn. Thank you.
Okay, so we're on abstentions.
Robert,
Okay, anyone else? Okay, those in favor, state your name.
Sid Gold.
Okay, Sid Gold. Sid, anyone else?
Ralph Croy,
Ralph Croy, anyone else?
Yeah, Nathan Lee.
Nathan Lee, okay.
Oscar, apologies. I'm gonna go with an abstain.
Okay, Chris Coyle, abstention. Okay. Okay, so I've got 13 and I believe we have 14 in attendance. Whom am I missing?
Okay, so that would be me, Oscar. I was just trying to figure out. So I'm not in favor of that motion. So I think it'd be the very first one you first called. I was confused.
So you're opposed?
Well, that's where I'm confused. The motion says opposed, but I'm opposed to this motion. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay, so you're
opposed to the opposition.
Yeah. Okay, so you're in the opposition column. Okay, so that's all 14. So we had 3 in favor, 4 abstentions, 7 opposed. So this motion does not pass. Okay, Sid, item 2.
Okay, so we're looking at item 2, discussion and proposed action that GHNNC opposes the proposed code of conduct and be amended by the deletion of the words be affirm and accept in item 2 to read to have read and further. And the committee felt that the old policy of the code of conduct was to sign the code of conduct and that you've read it. It didn't necessarily mean that you accept it or affirm it or whatever. The wording now changed in the code of conduct. By signing this document, it means you accepting and affirming the code of conduct. And so that again, the feeling was again that we're getting a delegation from on top telling us what to do, rather than the original concept was to accept this code of conduct policy. And somehow there's a belief that signing acceptance and whatever will change things. The reality is behavior is done by committees and the boards and how they manage themselves. And, so the committee felt that we should go back to the old wording of having read the code of conduct rather than affirming acceptance.
So I have it on the screen. I don't know if anybody would like me to scroll down. What section is that? It's section 2, right?
Right. It's under the, there's a whole series of resolutions that are sent to bond.
Oh, it's on here.
Oh, no, we don't.
And Oscar, could you increase the font, please? Thank you. Or the size, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, so
wow.
under requested action, so item 2, you'll see that
Yes, hold on. This is where how do I increase the font on this thing? You
Hold the
I know-
control
you
button
think
and scroll up.
You
I think
think
it's
I know
that-
by, oh,
that
here, you
plus
think I know by
button.
now.
Yeah, right there, the plus.
There we
It's
go.
in-
Sorry,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that. Oh, Lord, is that good? Okay, so
We might need training for Zoom, huh?
what's that? I can't zoom my Zoom, yeah. Okay, so I need to scroll down, I believe, right? Okay, is it right here?
right
Sid?
here in item 2, right?
Okay. Item 2. Okay, where? So we want to change it. Discussion and proposed action. The GHNNC proposes will be amended by the deletion of the words to affirm and accept. To read. Oh, I see. Okay. Any questions? Karen, you've got the floor.
Yes, Sid, I'd like to actually make just a motion to amend to simplify, because there's a lot of words here, and maybe just simplify it to replace the words to and accept in item number 2 with to read and have read. Is that correct? Is that the way you
Correct.
want it?
Yes.
Right? Okay. And then the next one, B, well, I think is it B, replace to sign the code of conduct affirmation with to have read the code of conduct. Right? Am I still going on the right path?
Correct.
Okay.
You're right on time.
Okay,
Thank
and then the next one, for number 4, add a formal appeals process. I was there, I remember that one pretty well. So is that, I'm still going right path?
Correct. Mhm.
Okay, and then for the next one, amend item number 6. If a board member or committee member is alleged to have significantly violated the code of conduct policy, the allegation will be submitted to the concerned NC board for review. When a non-adverse decision is made, a minority report from members of the NC may be submitted to Dunn for re-evaluation. Still good?
Correct.
Okay, and the last one, replace item 6B with the Dunn decision will be evaluated and approved by the Arts, Parks, Health, Education, and Neighborhoods Committee of the Los Angeles City Council before taking effect.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So that's, I just make a motion to amend to this language. And it's all the same language, just a little shorter.
So what document are we looking at? Karen,
You're looking at the requested action.
So under all the resolutions,
Mhm.
or other the items, they just simplifying them, just because there's paragraphs, so I just made them each, well, except for the last 2, just one sentence.
Okay, so what are we voting for then?
So just motion to amend the motion and then approve the amended, which is really just simplified language is all. It's everything Sid approved it, so just to make the language a little more simple to understand.
Yeah.
So we have a motion now to amend with the language submitted by Karen. And,
Well, your language.
yeah,
Just,
you're right.
because you're sending this on, right, Sid? So it's
Correct.
cleaner that way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, Wade, do you have your hand up? You've got the floor.
Yes, I do. It's more of a point of order. Under J1, you opposed the motion to oppose the implementation of the policy. Therefore, everything else that follows is mute. It makes no sense that you're now discussing what modifications should be to the policy that you want to see, and yet you're opposing the
These are two different-
denying it. So
Wait,
my
okay.
point, what I was trying to do was you should have made J1 oppose unless amended. That's the motion you should have taken under consideration, because unless they make the amendments that you are now considering, okay, if they don't make them, you really don't want that policy to go forward.
Okay, I
without
beg your
those-
pardon.
Okay,
Point of
so
order. Wait,
I'm trying to make a point of order.
I appreciate your time on the board, but you're not currently a GHN board member. You're a stakeholder, and I adore you. But for us to get through this, the first item was the workplace equity policy. This item is regarding the code of conduct policy specifically.
The point of order is I'm allowed to speak as the public on each and every subject. I do not have to wait and do it at the beginning. I am involved, and you're not permitted to shut me down. I'm telling you, point of order was you oppose J1, therefore all the others become mute. Okay, and if you're going to take them under discussion, you should have taken J1 and made it so oppose unless amended and voted on that, and then come down and do your others, because that would then make sense. Because if they don't do the amendments you're now discussing, you don't want the policy to go forward. Point
Oscar,
of
may I
order.
interrupt?
These are two different documents, though. Hold on, Brian, go ahead.
Let me try to clarify here. Wade, that is, the statement they're making is correct. J1 is on the workplace equity policy. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the code of conduct. It is a separate item altogether. Unfortunately, the way this has been put together, 2 through 6 are all on the code of conduct, and they are bringing them together as one. Now, I understand that that's confusing in some cases because it's all under J, but that is the fact. They are two separate, entirely separate issues that we're talking about, and the actions on J1 do not affect in any manner the actions on 2 through 6.
Yeah, can I just thank you for the clarification. I sent out 2 documents. There was the workplace equity and the code of conduct. I think you, Wade makes a correct point. I could have separated them in a better fashion, but
And my
Jay,
apologies, because I thought that it was referenced within the citywide that you discussed before, that the implementation of the workplace equity policy and what you were buying into also impacted what was going 2 through 3. Oh, sorry, 2 through 6. That's all when I'm looking at it. That's how it looked to me.
I understand, but they're 2
And
separate.
if I'm wrong, I apologize.
I accept the apology. There's no need for it. Okay.
Okay, so going back to the discussion then, so the motion is to amend these to the document, Karen, that you have, but I was gonna say, how do we, so we have to take a vote on that first,
Correct.
right?
The first motion to amend, and then just the simplified language.
Yep. Okay, so then let's take a vote. Is everyone ready to take a vote then? I don't see any more hands.
Oscar, I would recommend that you identify this as you're making a motion to amend 2 through 6. So you have only one vote. And then you are approving a motion of 2 through 6 combined.
Okay, very good point. Thank you, Brian. That simplifies it. Okay, so we're gonna vote that we're amending item J2 through J6. Okay. To make one, to combine it. So that is a motion. The motion is to combine J2 through 6 into one motion. Okay. All right, so we have to vote on that amendment. Those opposed, state your name. Okay, I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name.
Yes, Thomas Hartfield.
Okay. Any others?
Alfredo Castillo.
Okay, any others?
Robert Moore.
Okay. Any others? Okay, I hear none. So that would be, at this point, that would be 11 yeses for the amended motion. Okay. All right. Now, oh, sorry, I should not have scrolled. I keep hitting the wrong arrow. Okay, I don't see any. Okay, so let's move on then to the voting of the amended motion. And Karen, is there any way that you can show it, or?
Not really, sorry, but I can read it again. Does anyone need it to hear it again?
I'd like to hear it.
Okay, all right. It's replace the words to and accept in item number 2 with to read and have read. Replace sign the code of conduct affirmation to have read the code of conduct. Add, next one is add to item number 4, a formal appeals process. And amend item number 6 with, if a board member or committee member is alleged to have significantly violated the code of conduct policy, the allegation will be submitted to the concerned NC board for review. When a non-adverse decision is made, a minority report from members of the NC may be submitted to Dunn for reevaluation. And lastly, the Dunn decision, replace item 6B with, the Dunn decision will be evaluated and approved by the Arts, Parks, Health, Education, and Neighborhoods Committee of the Los Angeles City Council before taking effect.
Good thing I'm not confused on this one. I'm the secretary, okay, and take notes.
Oscar, I think it's time for a vote.
Alfredo, did you need,
I you know, I'm gonna have to.
did you
play
need
the
something
recording.
repeated?
Yeah, no, I'll play the recording. I mean, I'm having a hard time keeping how to
Well, I
work
can-
all 6 into 1,
Okay.
but we'll do it. Let's vote on it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If we make all these amendments, then are we then going to change? We would approve it rather than reject it?
Well, it depends on how the vote goes, right?
He's lost. I'm sorry, but he's lost. Ralph, this has nothing to do with the vote we took earlier to oppose or accept one. This is entirely different.
I understand that. Okay.
Go ahead, Oscar.
Okay, so let's move forward and take a vote on this. Okay, those opposed, state your name. Abstentions, state your name.
Denitza, I'm abstaining.
Donitza, okay, any others?
Robert.
Robert Moore, okay, any others?
Thomas Hartfeld.
Thomas Hartfeld, any others? State your name. Okay, I am going to abstain as well. All right, moving on to yeses. Then we have 14 present still, therefore.
Sorry, Oscar, abstain, Chris Coyle.
Okay, Chris Coyle. Any others? Okay, so with that said, there's 14 sources. So this motion passes.
How
The
many
amended,
yeses?
the amended, so that would be 9, Alfredo.
Sure.
Because I see everybody still on the call. Okay, excellent.
Okay, before you go on to the next one, I am leaving. Please give me a call, somebody, as soon as you are
All
finished.
right, okay, you're
next item.
recusing
I'm
yourself.
Okay,
recusing
and we're gonna
myself.
need, thank you, we'll need Alfredo to do the roll call on that one for the first outreach item.
Karen,
Um,
I gave
I can-
BAC to Oscar.
I can do it.
Oh, okay, great.
I've got that.
Thank
I'm
you.
out of here. Bye.
So now do we have someone present, Karen?
We
Is-
do, yes, we do. We do have Andrew Crown is here from EHR. So just explaining it, this was originally approved by the board under the executive committee. The city clerk rejected it and required it to be under outreach. So the outreach and publicity meeting, we held a special meeting, and we are happy to introduce Mr. Andrew Crown from EHR, who will explain the NPG.
Karen, before we do, Chris has his hand up. So Chris, yes, sir.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Yeah, apologies, everybody. I need to bow out for the night, so
Right.
I hung as long as I could. Thank you. You all take care. Be safe.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Alfredo, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm confused. We voted on the amendment to include all of those into one, but did we then vote on
Yeah, we voted.
Yes.
Yeah.
those all together?
Yeah, so we voted on, so I can give you the numbers.
I got it. Nine yeses, zero no's, and 5 abstains. Yes, I got those.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we have with us Andrew Crown from EHR, who will explain the NPG and their research their research. Andrew, please unmute yourself. Hello.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, hi, Andrew. Welcome.
Great. Hi, Oscar. Hi, Karen. Hello, board. Alvin, you win the night for the best background of your Zoom. Go Kings, go. So
Thank
yes,
you.
good evening, everybody. As Karen alluded to, my name is Andrew Crown. I'm the president, co-founder of EHR, Environmental Health Research. We are back, and to be clear, we are not back for additional monies. This board, along with Porter Ranch, graciously approved our previous MPG application, which was a blend of outreach activities and medical testing activities. NC funding had a problem with the medical testing activities. They felt that that was a direct benefit to a taxpayer. I won't go into whether or not I think that was a correct assessment, but they have instructed us that outreach activities are things that NC funding will approve. So we are back asking for the same amount, which is $3,500, to be used in a slightly different fashion. For those who don't know who EHR is, we are a nonprofit set up by your board, one of your board members, Brian Allen, myself, Andrew, and Craig Galante. The three of us are also CAG members. That's the Community Advisory Group through the LA County Aliso Canyon Disaster Health Research Study. We did our own thing after multiple years of working with the county and having, as this board also weighed in, no confidence with the pathway that the county study is on. So, like most things having to do with government, if you don't like it, you have to pick up the rope and do it yourself, which is what we are doing. Karen graciously had a special meeting where my colleague Craig Galante attended and spoke. There were, I think, a couple of very good outreach suggestions, like EHR participating in the shredding event that your NC is having, as well as potentially some other opportunities. But we are asking for funds to perform outreach within the Granada Hills North boundaries. We are going to all of the NCs that are in the highly affected area. That's Granada Hills North and South, Porter Ranch, Northridge East, West, Chatsworth, and North Hills West. It's kind of what we deem as ground zero in terms of areas affected by the Aliso Canyon blowout and the ongoing operations of the facility. Okay, we're looking to do outreach to get your stakeholders involved in some of our upcoming actions. We would like to perform clinical evaluations on people to do a long-term clinical study. We also are going to be disseminating information of other studies that have been done, like Dr. Nordella's CBC study. The LA County Department of Public Health obtained new data and did a CBC analysis. Dr. Nordella has weighed in on that. So there's a lot of very important information that will be very relevant to Granada Hills North stakeholders. And we hope that you will reapprove this MPG to provide us funding to help bring that information to our stakeholders. And I'm happy to take any questions anyone may have.
I don't see any.
Share the MPG again, sir, please.
Oh, yes, let me do that. Denisa, you have your hand up in the meantime.
Yeah, I just had a quick question or clarification. So basically what we're funding is just for the outreach of what you're going to be offering.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, in the original ask, we were also going to directly pay for some of the clinical evaluations, but the city poo-pooed that.
Sorry, guys, bear with me. I'm looking for this on my.
And how long when is this outreach gonna happen? Do we have a timeline on it and all that good stuff?
So the MPG has a June deadline. So we're talking basically between now and we fit it in with the end of the city fiscal year, so end of June. So basically, right away. And we'd like to, we want to also explore, partnerships with the NC. All the local NCs have a pretty robust email list. That's a great avenue to help get this critical information in front of, your more active stakeholders. So we'll be producing some material here, pretty much straight away. So if we could have, we can partner also with some email blasts, whether it be, bi-monthly, monthly, etc. We'll get information into the hands of people right away.
Okay, as a reference to this, I see that the NPG here, item 7 says that you have not applied to any other neighborhood councils, but you're planning on asking them. We don't have the total cost of the project. The total cost of the project here, it looks like it's gonna be $3,500 for the whole project. I almost feel like what you said and what you actually put on here is a little different.
Well, it's a little tough, and for those who don't know, I am a former Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council board member and treasurer, so I am familiar with the constraints of the MPG application. The fact of the matter is, the project in total of what we're trying to accomplish is tens of millions of dollars. This is the beginning. We are going to be approaching over the next several months the NCs that I stated. We're keeping everyone's funding within their own boundaries, so that it's your stakeholders who benefit. It's tough to say the project is X dollars. The fact is, there's outreach. With every dollar that comes in, outreach can happen. There's no real set with how much the total outreach project is going to be. It's just going to be ongoing. So we had to just pick a number.
Okay. Thank you. Karen, thank you, Alfredo.
Andrew, what do you have a number of the victims from the gas leak? Like how many people were actually affected?
Well,
I mean, victims, like the ones who have the illnesses and.
So that is a number that is of yet, I would argue, no one actually knows. The fact of the matter is, everyone, at the very least, in the northern half of the valley was affected by either inhaling, straight away inhaling, aerosolized crude oil, or any of the other constituents. The overall fight here is that the truth has not been known since day one. It's the extent of the harm, I'm afraid, truthfully, will never be known, because people who don't know that what they're ailing from could be or is likely from this exposure will never piece that together. And that's unfortunate, but a legitimate tactic by the gas company to minimize the scope of this disaster. The fact of the matter is, LA County Fire Protocol instructs firefighters to evacuate an area whenever the chemical of concern, if it has an odor, and if they can smell that odor, then they must widen the evacuation zone until they can no longer smell the chemical of concern. For everyone who lived, into the end of 2015, who lived in the North Valley, please just imagine how far away you could smell the ethyl mercaptans, and think about how large an area and how big a population would have had to have been evacuated. It would have been in the order of hundreds of thousands of people. So the number of victims is immense. The only number I can quantify is through my own app, the Environmental Health Tracker. And that at its height had about 1,800 users in the North Valley. And those 1,800 users reported about 55,000 symptoms. So it's the best I can do in terms of giving you a quantitative answer on how many victims are there. The victim count is going to be in the 6 digits.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. I just time check, it's 9:15, so I want to see if we can move this along. Alvin, you have a question?
I just think my quick question is, as far as the clinical study, just kind of not really knowing the effectiveness for sure. And I mean, I'm no doctor, but in the early stages of the clinical studies, is there going to be a small sample done, just given that it's unknown of the effectiveness of the study?
So we are looking and are currently creating a medical advisory board. Currently that's headed by Dr. Nordella. We are expanding that. The base model, and Oscar, I'll try to make this as fast as I can, and for all of you, because you're putting in the late hours. We are very much trying to model our study behind the Gulf study, which was a look at workers who cleaned up the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf. And we have the outlines of that study, and that is an NIH federally run study, considered to be the gold standard. We have the clinical roadmap on what the interview should look like, what the testing should look like, how big a sample size we take. I mean, personally, I would like thousands of participants, 10,000 participants, would be amazing. But we're 6 years later, and again, what's been beat on people is that there's nothing to see here. And frankly, that just isn't the truth. The truth is there's a lot to see here, and getting your neighbors and your friends and your family to participate is going to be a hurdle we will have to deal with. In order for, to get people to come do the clinical exams and to be seen annually, which is what we believe will be required for several years, to have baselines drawn and comparisons done over many, many years, up to 10 years is what we're looking at, ideally.
Okay, thank you. All right, one questions that I have, just a few. Andrew, so do you anticipate, again, not knowing what the figure is that you need for this program, right? Do you foresee yourself coming back next year for additional funding?
Well, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay, and with that, then, so what I would like to see in that time frame, right, is a report of what and how those expenditures were made. So I'm sure you guys are going to keep records of it, right?
Of course.
Okay.
To Oscar, just for clarification, basically activities specific to the $3,500 of this MPG or the overall activities of the nonprofit?
Well, I think overall activities would be good, because in that way we can see what what your projects are, what you're going to be, you're making these funds to. Yeah,
we're happy to provide that.
No, thank you. I mean, because it's something that we should be following up on anyway, depending on what happens. So, okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Anyone else?
Oscar?
Yes, ma'am.
Please take a vote.
Okay, so let's move forward then. I don't see any others. All right, so I'm going to do a roll call because this requires a BAC. Brian Allen has recused himself. Karen Waters.
Yes.
Sid Gold.
Yes.
you. Oscar Jimenez, yes. Myself, Raheem Kazi is absent. Alfredo Castillo,
Yes.
thank you, sir. Ralph Croy. Unmute yourself, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Denisa Pantoja,
Yes.
Jason Lester.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thomas Hartfeld.
Yes.
Thank you. Chris Coyle is absent. Alvin Waters.
Yes.
Okay. Nathan Lee.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Graham Zach.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Moore.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 yeses. And 2 absent. What did I do here? Because that's
Unanimous.
Brian recused himself.
All right.
Raheem is absent. Chris is absent. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, oh, that's good. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry. Okay, so we're good. 15, so 12 yeses, 2 absents, and 1 recusal. So that motion passes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, everybody, for the support. Your NC has been an absolute leader in this area, and it's not unnoticed. Thank you all.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Andrew. And thank you to the outreach committee for attending the special meeting on Saturday. It was very short notice, but I appreciate them
Oh, great
very
job.
much, very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you, guys.
And moving on to, the next item is our Earth Day weekend docu-shred event. Everyone, please come out, please sign up. There is a announcement about our shred event in the Empower LA newsletter, and they invited all Angelinos to attend our shred event. So please come out, spend a couple hours. You know, it'll be good to see everyone out maskless and have fun, meet the stakeholders for a couple of hours. So please sign up. And then we'll be having a new speaker series with things that matter in the community. And we are going to start with understanding responsible pet ownership. I think some of you understand that, you know, losing a pet and owning a pet, there's a lot more to it. It's something everyone in the community is passionate about, and just kind of a unifying experience. So we'll be working on that in the next couple of months. And we also, a reminder that April is Distracted Driver Awareness Month. So please, so many people are getting killed. Please put down the phones. I don't know how many callers are left there, but you know, a text can wait, anything can wait. And it's also Autism Awareness Month as well. And it is our first, it will be our first maskless Ramadan, Easter, Ramadan, Palm Sunday, Easter, Passover, and Earth Day. So let's try to enjoy our first maskless holidays in 2 years. And I'm also going to turn over to Graham. Had some reports he would like to share.
I have a question.
Yes, Ralph, before we.
If we're still talking about item 2 here, the shred event, will give us a reminder of where it is.
It's at St. Euphrasia Church on April 23rd. Alvin, by the way, thank you for bringing that up again, Ralph. Alvin, if I may ask for your assistance in distributing the form for people to sign up. I'll put it together, and then if you can help me get that out the way we did last time, that would be great.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. So I'll put that together, and then that way Alvin will help distribute that, and that way people can sign up for your for specific time slots. Okay, and again, we encourage everyone to participate because it was advertised in Empower LA. So we expect, I hope that there's going to be great turnout. So
yes, it's been the first one. There's people literally fighting for our space and for our shred company. So thank you very much. And Graham, take it away.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to ask about that sign up sheet. So I followed up with Mirka and Lee's office about the parks. We had discussed about replacing some of these signs, and we had discussed an outreach as well about trailhead signs and things in Old Mulvaney and B Canyon, and the display cases that are broken or just in disrepair that needs to be repaired or replaced. So I'm waiting to hear back from her. I've emailed her a couple times, just waiting to hear back about the quotes, because they've she kind of, there was some reorganization in RAP that she was trying to get funding from, and or they were. Lee's expressed interest in funding it, or getting the funding for these projects, but it's taking a really long time. So I asked about what the quotes would be and how, we could potentially help and see what those projects that, we can help move this along with the signage, and see what those quotes are and what it would take to get these replaced and fixed, and get some new signs up and trailheads and things. So I'll circle back once we know, and we'll bring it before the committee and then hopefully before the council.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is great. No, thank you.
And that is it for outreach and publicity. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Sid has his hand up. Sid, you've got the floor.
Karen, wonderful job. What sort of events are you got in the planning? Because I was thinking about an event where we get a maskless event for the whole community.
Right, and we in the pipeline, which we actually have been discussing for, was it almost 5 years now, will be probably maybe in 2023. I know you're talking about the Food, Music, and Art Festival, right? Is that what you're talking
No, I
about?
was talking about getting all the community together for this, like a huge block party of all the neighborhood council that we would put on with activities, and maybe at B Canyon or in Mulvaney Park, and where all the community can get together with a little sense of freedom and the opportunity to interact. So
A freedom party, huh, Sid?
sort of. There you go.
Okay.
I like that.
Thank you.
Coachella, Banana Hills.
We will definitely look into that. Okay. Thank you.
I heard Kanye West is available for that.
That's
concert.
okay. We have, our liability won't cover
that.
I forgot, is Brian back? Did we tell him he could come
Oh,
back?
no. No, he's here.
You can,
Oh my goodness.
I'll text
No,
him
you
right now.
didn't tell me.
Okay, sorry. I was just
We were
gonna
having so
text.
much fun, we forgot to invite you
I was
back.
just gonna text you. Okay, sorry, Brian. Okay,
I feel bad now.
all right. Okay, Karen, so we're
Well, to
good
bring
with
you up
that?
to speed, Sid suggested that we try to have a freedom party, like a block party, which is an awesome idea. I mean, we have to, take it to, do what we have to do with that, but sounds like fun.
I'm in.
Who's bringing the virus?
Actually, one thing I wanted to ask about the shred event.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys usually have a mic or like a sound system or anything, or in need of any of that, or no?
No,
We have equipment we haven't used in what, 2 years?
Yeah, well, because since the pandemic, but
Yeah.
we do have equipment.
Yeah.
But for
So-
the shred event, I don't know if it would make sense because we're just constantly on the move. I mean,
Okay.
when,
Well,
No,
music would
last
be
one-
nice. We could have some music.
well, you know what?
That
That's true, huh?
music.
I like the way Graham's thinking about having some. Kind of
Oh.
entertainment.
Well, I was
That's-
gonna-
like that.
I'll-
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can bring a powered speaker and a mic and on a stand. That could definitely fill the space.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds,
I
sounds,
like it.
yeah, that would be great.
Thank you,
Okay.
Graham.
I'll
No,
bring it
thank
by.
you.
No worries.
All right.
You have a beautiful voice. Are you going to sing for us too?
Maybe if you're lucky, I'll do a surprise impromptu performance for
There
you.
you go. We do have
Sounds,
megaphones, right?
sounds great. See?
We do have megaphones, right, Karen?
I got enough guitars behind
Yes,
me
we
here,
do. We certainly do. Yes, we do. Okay. All right. So,
Excellent.
well, I
All
think
right. Entertainment to go with it. I love it. Excellent.
Only
We'll have to
way
put
to
that.
stand
We'll have to
out.
put that on our flyer next year too.
Concert at
There you
the
go.
church, not at the park.
Huh?
what are we putting on the flyer?
Entertainment included at the shred event. Hello.
Careful
it.
to hold
I
us
love
to
it.
that.
You're gonna have
Okay.
a problem. You won't know where to plug it in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great point.
Wait, vehicle, right? Vehicle charger or something like that?
Well, I have a portable generator, but is there an outlet close
There
by
should be
off the church? Maybe.
No,
We just-
It should be.
I don't think so.
there's no
Well,
electricity anywhere near where we're doing this.
No.
We'll just take a bunch of extension cords and go into the church and plug it in there. So I'm sure.
I mean, you could.
And I'm not bringing my portable generator.
I have one too.
Too heavy.
Gas
Sure.
is too expensive.
There you go.
All
Okay,
right,
awesome.
let's move on. So, Public Safety Committee report, there was no meeting this month, but Nathan, is there anything that you'd like to?
That's correct. Yeah, no meeting in March, but we are having our meeting tomorrow night, April 6th at 6 p.m. So all are welcome. Hope to see you out there and nothing further. So thank you.
Repeat the date again? Nathan?
Tomorrow, April 6th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are getting responses from John's office regarding the other motions that were on there regarding the signage and other stuff. So the other things. So thank you, Nathan. All right. West Valley Neighborhood Alliance on homelessness. Anything, Mr. Zach?
No, they had an informational event, Amplify and Act, this last time. That was it. So no updates.
Thank you, sir. Small business representative, Mr. Allen.
Nothing to say.
All right, thank you. Faith-based representative, Mr. Kilroy or Mr. Coy, Mr. Kilroy. That's someone from my soccer program.
Hello?
Well,
You want, okay. You
Ralph,
want
do
to
you have-
hear a comment? Yes. Our church is finally opening up again. We've had a lot of construction done and we now are permitted to have in church meetings. Other churches are doing that now too. So things are looking up.
excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. I know I can't wait to get back to church. Okay, and Lali's no longer here. All right, board member announcements. I'm going to start this time. I usually go around and kind of take the last one, but I want to say thank you to everybody. This was a great meeting. There was a lot of passion, and you know, it's evident that we can get passionate about what our stand is and still be cordial. That was demonstrated tonight, and we've been doing that at our meetings. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for, you know, sharing your thoughts, your opinion. This is safe. It should always be. So again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Karen?
Thank you for being a great board and a great meeting. It was a wonderful meeting and we do have a wonderful, we have respect for one another. And that is, that's a great thing among the neighborhood council system. Not all neighborhood councils have it. And I do also want to make our families very proud. My cousin, Tina Greer, will be sworn in tomorrow as the lieutenant of the Santa Monica Police Department. It's a really big deal. We're really proud of her.
Yeah, congratulations. That is
Great.
great. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm just very, very proud of her. So that's it. Thank you for a great meeting, everyone.
Thank you, Karen. Brian?
No, I'm sure again this week, this month, I have the same thing. There was something I was going to say, but I can't remember it now. So nothing other than we are coalescing well, and I appreciate that as a board.
Thank you, sir. Alfredo?
No comments, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris is no longer with us. Graham?
Nothing really, just great meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Sid?
Yeah, just echo great meeting, and my hat off to Karen for simplifying my life. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thomas?
My pleasure.
Nothing additional to add. Go Kings, go.
All right. Thank you.
Are they in the playoffs?
They're in second place in the Pacific,
Really?
so they'll likely get in.
Sweet, okay.
Last night was
All right.
rough, but Thursday we'll see what happens.
All right, sounds good. Mr. Croy,
No comment.
all right.
Someone's growing a real
Nathan,
beard here.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Who's
what?
that bearded guy?
Where's the muted guy?
Who's that bearded guy with glasses?
Oh, the bearded guy.
See that guy? He's got a lot of hair.
Ja-
Look at that.
Jason
looks
Lester.
good.
Mr. Jason.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah. he
Yeah,
sure is.
man.
You, Jason.
Okay. Looking
Looking
good.
Thank you.
good.
Looks
Um,
good, man.
Thank you very much. Also, good to see everybody working together like a well-oiled machine. I think that's going to be very productive. And also go Kings go. And I made an announcement during the outreach meeting that I was asked to repeat here. That is to be careful holding back sneezes. I held a sneeze back and tore a muscle in my throat. So just let them out, let them go. Don't hold them back. It was quick, sudden, and very painful for a very long time. So they ended up with going to the doctor. There's nothing they can do for it either.
Rose back.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
so don't hold them in. They go like 200 miles an hour out. So just let them fly.
Thank you for that, because I usually do hold it back sometimes, so thank you.
Middle of the night, I felt the instant rupture right in my Adam's apple. So
Oh.
yeah, you don't want to be there.
So are you better now? Are you 100%?
Yeah,
better? Okay.
it did actually get better, but it's a little scary. So don't want it to happen to anybody else.
Thank you for that, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Always doing what I can.
Robert,
Just a couple of things real quick. Yeah, we haven't had a emergency preparedness meeting. I'm planning one coming up soon. So want to let everybody know that. Also, brush clearance deadline is May 1st. So anybody who has property that backs up against mountainsides or has brush in their area, that's got to be done. You don't want to get fined for that. Other than that, great meeting everybody, and I hope everybody has a great night.
thank you, Robert. Denisa,
No comments. Thank you.
thank you. And Alvin,
Just want to say great productive meeting with everyone. And I guess just one announcement on my part is one of my projects at work, actually, because I work in the solar industry. So I have been partnering with the city of Compton to help construct a carport at Gonzalez Park, which is partnered with the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation. And they will be doing their dedication April 16th. So I'm excited and a little nervous at the same time. It's one of my first biggest projects that I have managed representing a general.
well, congratulations. You're going to do a great job.
That's exciting.
You're going to do a great job, Alvin. We know it. So
Thank you.
no, thank you.
Phenomenal job.
All right. Well, with that, everyone, that's it. But again, thank you. Great meeting. And so have a great evening.
Oscar, can I break in one time? I do remember what I was going to.
Yes, sir. Oh, man, he remembered. No,
I got a phone call today from Mike Greenwald.
Oh, uh-huh.
He
How's he
wanted me to share with everybody that he misses everybody and he wishes everybody well.
Aw, how
Well,
sweet.
we miss him as well. So next time you talk to him, let him know on our
Will do.
behalf. So,
Yeah.
all right, everyone.
Hello.
Again, thank you. Thank you again. Great meeting, great board. We are a great team. So good night.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Oscar, BACs are on their way to you now.
Excellent. Thank you.